All right. Good morning, everyone. Fair enough. This is a session on previous year's questions coming in from logical reasoning. I'm going to be taking two parts. One will be logical reasoning. The other half I'll be taking will be reading comprehensions. Right? Now, because these are previous year's questions, the mandate that I've been granted is that I have to take 5 years of reading logical reasoning questions. If we have time, then I may even push it to from 5 to 6 odd years. Right? Now, ordinarily, how these sessions, these analysis sessions happen is you're granted certain few topics. Her topic mein se kitne questions they ask you. That's how it goes. I'm not going to go that way. Why? Because what I want you to realize is that if you have to clear CSAT, let me just see. If you want to clear CSAT, there is a pre-decided cutoff that you have to breach. The pre-decided cutoff that you have to reach is 1/3 you have to score. 1/3 out of 200, right? 1/3 out of 200 will be roughly around 67 odd, right? 67 you have to get, or you can say greater than 67. How do you get greater than 67? Each question in CSAT, there are 80 questions in total. Each question is 2.5 marks. That basically means that if you score somewhere around 28 questions, अगर आप 28 questions correct कर लो and no question correct, no question incorrect, because every incorrect question will also attract a penalty of 1/3. Right? If you get 28 questions correct, right, you are through without getting any question incorrect. Now, for you to get 28 questions correct, you have to understand what is the composition, right? What kind of sections are asked, what is the weightage, right? 3 sections: quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, and reading comprehensions, right? You would have seen in the last few years, people have started to struggle in CSAT. Why is that so? Because of the composition one and because of the nature of questions that they've been asking of late, right? If you look at CSAT from 2013 onwards, 2013 and a couple of years from there, RCs used to be the major section. Right? RCs were roughly around 35 to 40 questions. And RCs were also very simple back in the day. Now, the composition of RCs will be, you will get somewhere around 26 passages. And associated with these passages, you will get roughly around 28 questions. Now, 28 questions is exactly what you require to clear the cutoff. Some of you who are not very good in quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning, you tend to believe that you're going to get all 28 questions or 26 questions of RCs right. And that's how you're going to clear the cutoff. Right? Maybe you have not seen RCs of CSAT. Right? RCs of CSAT are particularly difficult. Right? They are not your ordinary reading comprehensions. Right? You have to apply quite a lot of brain, as we'll see in the open session on RCs also. So do not ever rely only and only on RCs. One, because it is just about enough for you to clear the cutoff. Just about enough. And try to understand it that you will get 4 to 5 odd questions wrong every year. Ye to hoga hi. Right, that means what? That means you will then have to depend upon these sections. For some person who thinks his English is perfect, right? For some person who thinks he's also trained in RCs, right? That person may be led to believe that he can rely on RCs to clear the cutoff, right? In terms of possibilities, can you clear the cutoff only relying on RCs? Absolutely you can, right? But you'll have to get all RCs correct, right? Which I can tell you for a fact, it's highly improbabilistic, right? You may get at least 2 to 3 questions you'll get wrong. That means those 2 to 3 questions and one more, because negative marking, you will have to get right from this section. Now, this has been the composition. They can change the composition next year also, right? This year they may change it, right? Nobody is stopping UPSC from changing the composition. Ask you 40 questions on RCs, right? They may ask you around 10 questions on quantitative aptitude. Nobody asks. Nobody can really question them, right? Hence, you cannot put all your eggs in one basket, which is RCs. You will have to also look at quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning. Now, between quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning in the last 5 years, the trend has been roughly 28 questions, 26 to 28 questions from RCs. That means you get somewhere around 52 to 54 questions from quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning combined, right? Between quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning, this one is the smaller portion. Logical reasoning, you will get on an average, it could be between 15 to 20 questions. The remaining are quantitative aptitude, right? Now, for both quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning, there will be certain sections, certain areas of importance, right? What areas typically get asked the most, some areas that you just do not have to leave, right? In terms of quantitative aptitude, what I can say is, if you want to clear quantitative aptitude, or if you want to believe that you are good at it, you cannot do away with number systems. Number systems aapko aana chahiye, right? Time, speed and distance aana chahiye, right? Ratios and proportions aana chahiye, percentages aane chahiye, allegations aane chahiye, right? Time and work aana chahiye, right? All of these sections are sections which are very frequently asked, right? Number systems, and they have also started to ask you questions on probability, permutations and combinations, although very basic questions, right? So you need to identify which of these sections you can be really good at, right? Some of these sections you are already good at, some of these sections you can become good at by practicing, right? Some of these sections would be sections where even if you practice, you are still unsure. Usually for those people who have not had a math background, these are permutation, combinations and probability questions, right? Then they start to argue कि इन्होंने तो JEE का question पूछ लिया, right? That is not they ask. These are very, very basic questions that they are asking, right? Now, in terms of logical reasoning also, some of the key areas that you have to focus on are calendars, cubes and dices, inequalities. You will also have some questions from syllogism, arrangements, and clocks. These are the most frequently asked questions, right? It does not mean that they are going to continue with the same trend. होने को तो कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं, but the trend so far has been that they ask you most questions from these areas, so you need to be good at them, right? Identify which of these are your strength areas. First thing you would want to do every time you get a CSAT question paper is that you would want to mark questions on quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning. दोनों को mark कर दो, right? How do you do this? Passages तो दिख जाते हैं. It's not like you have to really find passages, right? The remaining questions are quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning, right? What you can have is cross all those questions which are from logical reasoning. At least mark a cross so that you know this is not a quant ka question, this is a logical reasoning question. And between quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning, the logical reasoning part is the easier one, right? You may want to start from logical reasoning or even quantitative aptitude, depending upon which is your area of strength, right? Keep it very time bound. Keep it roughly around, depending upon how good you are with quants and logical reasoning, probably keep 1 hour for this, right? 1 hour may try to clear the cutoff here itself, right? If not clear the cutoff here itself, at least try to score around a 40 or a 50 odd here itself, right? In the remaining 1 hour, do your RCs. RCs may, regardless of how bad you are going to score 15, 20, right? Depending upon how good you are with RCs, you can score much more. But if you clear the cutoff in the first half, right, your paths will be much easier. Most kids, what they do is, they start from this question paper, they start from question 1 to question 2, question 2 to question 3, right? Depending upon which set you have gotten, you may have gotten some questions in the beginning itself which are difficult, right? Now these questions, when you start to sort of, solve them and you cannot get them right, that leads to a loss of confidence. And the moment you lose confidence, right, even the chances are that even the easier ones you are not going to get, right? So find these questions first. Find those questions that come from your area of expertise or where you know that you can solve them, right? Try to solve them first, solve these questions, get some confidence, then try to attempt intermediate level ke questions or difficult level ke questions also. But keep it very time bound, right? Keep it probably about an hour, 50 minutes, 40 minutes, depending upon how much importance do you assign to RCs, right? Do this first. Now, this is the reason why I'm also not keeping it in terms of how many questions have been asked from one section or the other section. It really does not matter. Why? Because 5 years is not a good enough time. It's not a big sample space. In total, 5 years, you will have at best 80 to 100 questions from logical reasoning, right? And then there are so many sections. Each section will at best get what, 5 to 6 odd. That does not tell you anything about the trend, right? what you want to do is, you want to look at a question paper as to what was the question number here, how many questions were asked, right? How do I navigate that? We'll start with 2023, the last year. And then we will move to 2022, then we'll move to 2021, right? Now, some of you who have been my students would have already done this. This would be repetition for them, right? But most of you who are not, right? Good enough for you. The first question that they asked in logical reasoning was question number 18, right? This is set A. Now, set A, set B, set C, set D can differ, right? In set A, the first logical reasoning question was question number 18. What is this question on? This is a question on cubes and dices. Very simple question. If you look at it, it says 125 identical cubes are arranged in the form of a cubical block. How many cubes are surrounded by other cubes from each side, right? This is the most basic of questions that you will get on cubes, right? Chapter, cubes and dices, right? The most basic question. What is he saying? He's saying there are 125 identical cubes, which is to say each cube will have the same dimensions. In a cube, you know that the length is the same as the breadth is the same as the height. All of these cubes are identical. That means what? That means you will have a smaller cube. You will have 125 of those. All of these cubes have been stacked together in a manner that they have formed a bigger cube, right? This cube in total has 125 cubes. Now here you have to apply your mind. Very simple. What you have to do is, you have to just understand, change. If there is a bigger cube, in a bigger cube, all dimensions will be the same. Agree? It's a cube. So if it's a cube, that means length is the same as the width is the same as the height, right? And this is comprised of smaller cubes, right? There are smaller cubes, 125 of these, which make this bigger cube, right? Each of these smaller cubes also will have the same length as the same breadth as the same height. That means if you have a smaller cube here, right? There are 3 dimensions. In fact, this will be much better here. A smaller cube here, there will be length of the smaller cube, breadth of the smaller cube, and height of the smaller cube. You have to stack them up in a manner that this length of the bigger cube, breadth of the bigger cube, and height of the bigger cube are all the same, right? Now, that should mean, or that should tell you, that the number of smaller cubes on the length will be the same as the number of smaller cubes on the width, will be the same as the number of smaller cubes on the height, right? Why? Because you have to make the bigger dimensions equal, right? The length is the same as breadth is the same as height. For example, if you imagine that the length is 8, so is the breadth, and so is the height. And if you imagine that the smaller cube has a length of 1, breadth of 1, and height of 1, right? How many such smaller cubes do you have to arrange along the length to make this bigger length 8? 8 of these. Similarly, along the width, you'll have to arrange 8 of these. And along the height, you'll have to arrange 8 of these. You have to make the bigger length, bigger width, and bigger height the same. That means the number of smaller cubes along the length, breadth, and height have to be the same, right? Now he has given you the total number of smaller cubes. How many of these smaller cubes are there? Total number of smaller cubes is 125. These 125 smaller cubes have to be arranged in 3 dimensions. Length, width, and height. That means along each dimension, how many smaller cubes will you find? You will find a cube root of 125, which is to say 5. Right? You will have to have 5 smaller cubes here, 5 smaller cubes here, and 5 smaller cubes along each dimension. Right? Now, if you have 5 as the number of smaller cubes along each dimension, that means if you have to make this in a bigger cube, वो कैसा दिखेगा आपको? You will have to make 5, you can say 5 sections here, 5 here, and 5 here. That should tell you that number of cuts that you will have to make along each dimension should be 1 less than the number of sections, which is 5 minus 1, that should be 4. Right? I'll show you how it basically gets done. You take a bigger cube. This is your bigger cube. You make 4 cuts along the length. 1, 2, 3, 4. right? You have to imagine it like a big cubical block, and you have taken a big knife and you are making 4 cuts. Why are you making 4 cuts? Because each cut is going to give you cut plus 1 sections. 4 cuts are going to give you 3 sections: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Each of these sections will become what? It will become the length of the smaller cube, right? Similarly, along the width of the bigger cube, you have to make how many cuts? 4 cuts. Why? Because the number has to be the same along the length, along the width, and along the height. That would mean 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bring it down. 3 and 4. Similarly, along the height also, you'll have to make how many cuts? 4 cuts, right? This will mean 1, 2, 3, and 4. Join it. This is what the bigger cube will be like, made of such smaller cubes, very small cubes, each of these, right? How many of these smaller cubes are there? This will be 5 into 5 into 5, a total of 125 smaller cubes. That's how you make a bigger cube out of smaller cubes, right? Now the question he's asking you is, which of these cubes, or how many of these cubes are surrounded by a cube on each side? In a smaller cube, how many cubes are there? How many sides are there? The question is, how many of those cubes are surrounded by other cubes from each side? Right? That means you will have to imagine such cubes along each side of which there is another cube, right? Now, because this is a bigger cube, this bigger cube has been combined or has been made by stacking smaller cubes together, right? The outer layer of this bigger cube will have cubes जिसकी एक side या दो side या तीन side exposed है, right? Which is to say, for example, these cubes are not surrounded by another cube from this side, right? On those cubes, on the edges, you look at these edges, except the corners, edges mein, there are 2 sides which are exposed where you will find no other cube, right? On the corners, you will have smaller cubes which have 3 sides exposed which are not covered by other cubes. That means the outer layer is the number of cubes that are not surrounded by other cubes on all sides. Outer layer mein to ye nahi hai. That means now imagine if you peel off this layer, इस layer को outer layer को जब आप हटाते हो, in the core of the cube, right? Imagine each of these cubes have to be surrounded by other cubes from all sides, right? इसकी जो अगली वाली layer होगी, अंदर वाली layer, it is surrounded by cubes from all sides, right? That is what you have to come down to. For this, there is a formula. The formula, which is to say total number of cubes in the core, number of smaller cubes in the core. There is a formula. The formula is n minus 2 ka whole cube, right? This is the formula that you have to apply. The only thing you have to imagine is which of these cubes will be cubes जिसके आसपास सारे के सारे cubes और सारी की सारी sides, 6 of which are surrounded by other cubes. These will be cubes which are under this outer shell. इस outer shell को हटा दो, right? All those cubes which are inside will have each side पे another cube, right? The formula for you to find out that is n minus 2 ka whole cube. N minus 2 ka whole cube, in this case, n is the number of smaller cubes along each dimension, which is 5. 5 minus 2 ka whole cube. This is going to be 3 ka cube, which would be 27, right? Now, I am taking time to explain this to you, right? In the exam, it's not going to take you less than or more than 10 seconds. ज़्यादा नहीं लगेगा. You just have to imagine, right? Which of these cubes will be such cubes जिसके around on each side there will be another cube. Outer layer हो नहीं सकता. Why? Because the corners will have 3 faces exposed. The edges will have 2 faces exposed. These faces will have at least 1 face exposed जहाँ पर कोई दूसरा cube है नहीं cover करने को. Right? Just imagine कर लो इसके अंदर की जो layer होगी. Imagine any cube inside the layer, right? Just underneath this one, it will be surrounded by 1 cube from each side, right? So you just have to find out how many cubes in the core. There is a formula for this. The formula is n minus 2 ka whole cube. N is number of smaller cubes along each dimension. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. N is 5. N minus 2 ka whole cube, 27. We have 27 as an option. This is one of the more basic questions. Answer should be A. Right? थोड़ा सा imagination इसमें लगता है, nothing more. Right? The next question will be on something like this. These are notations. Right? There are certain notations granted to you, and you have to find out what this notation is all about. Right? ये है क्या? पहली चीज. What has been granted to you here is 7 plus a symbol, 9 plus this same symbol plus 10 is 8. Something like this. 9, another symbol, 30 is 5, and 11, this symbol, 17, this symbol, 21 is 13. Firstly, the symbol does not change, right? Whichever operator this symbol corresponds to, it will remain the same, right? This is not a different symbol. The same symbol applies everywhere. So whatever this operator is, this operator has to be common, right? Now you will have to kind of operators will there be. At best there is multiplication, there is division, there is addition, there is subtraction. Try to see which one this will be. This is a directed hidden trial, right? Try to see if I add them up, what happens. If this symbol corresponds to, let's say, addition. Agar this is addition, 7 plus 9 plus 10. How much is that? 7 plus 9 is 16. 16 plus 10 is 26. Can I come down to 8 from 26? If I take both of these digits and if I add them, right? 2 plus 6 gives me 8. Now I have to confirm whether this is actually addition or not. That means this addition should work for all of these three, right? Find out this one. 9 plus 11 is 20. 20 plus 30 is 50. Add these two digits, 5 plus 0, you get 5, right? That means we have found it out. Similarly, 11 plus 17 is 28. 28 plus 21 is how much? 49. 11 plus 17 is 28. 28 plus 21 is 49. 49, you add 4 plus 9, you get a 13, right? What is the value of 23? This has to be then plus this. 23 plus 4 is 27. 27 plus 15 is 42. And 4 plus 2 is 6. Answer therefore has to be 6. Right? These are questions which are directed hidden trial questions. Right? Each of these symbols, because lucky for you, you have gotten similarly just one symbol. Right? That means this symbol has to correspond to any of these operators. Right? You will have to find out which of these operators. You have to do a directed hidden trial. Right? Try to do addition first, then try to do multiplication, then try to do subtraction, then try to do division. Right? Find out if there is a relation that can be built. Right? Lucky for you, because there is only one symbol. Right? You just have to find out which operator does it correspond to. So it's not going to take you a lot of time anyway. Right? Easy. Up until now, 2 questions have been asked. The last one was 18. The next logical reasoning question is 24. Why is this important? Because this set may have started from, let's say, passages, right? And then there will be some questions on quantitative aptitude, right? You may not be very good at passages, you may not be very good at quantitative aptitude, but if you are good at logical reasoning, the first question that you would have struck is that the cubes wala question. This is something you have struck gold already. It's a very basic question. This question is going to take you 10 seconds. You have already pocketed 2.5 marks. The next question you find in logical reasoning is 24. Ordinarily, if you just go from 1 to 2 to 3, right, it will be so much time before you reach 24. 24 is very, very easy. How long does it take for you to solve this 24th question? Less than 10 seconds once again, right? Less than 2 minutes, you would have gotten 5 marks already if you had just pinpointed these logical reasoning questions first, right? This is why you have to segregate. First up, do one thing, segregate the number of questions, right? Passages dikh jate hain. You only have to mark logical reasoning questions or even quantitative aptitude, depending upon which one of these areas is your area of strength, right? Try to solve the easier questions first, get them right? Get some confidence, continue to move. Let's see the next one. This is a question on codes. If 0 is written as CHUR, once again, they go 24 ke baad, the next logical reasoning question is 37th, right? 37th would mean that between 24 and 37, there will be 13 questions. Right? These 13 questions could be difficult, they could be easy also. Right? So by the time you reach another easier question, right, you would have struggled a lot. Right? Which is why find them out first. Identify these questions first. Right? If 0 is written as C, H, U, and R, this is the word and this is the code. Then how is player written? Right? You just have to decipher it. 0, say CHUR. How do you go from Z to C? Right, plus 3. right? Z के बाद next क्या आएगा in sequence? A, B and C, right? Z plus 3 would be A, B and C. E plus what should be H? F, G and H. So E plus 3 once again will be H. What is the distance between R and U? R के बाद S, T and U. R plus 3 is also U. How do you go from O to R? O, P, Q and R. Once again plus 3. Isn't this the easiest and the most basic of questions that you will get on codes? The most basic, right? That is, the key you have is you have to add plus 3, plus 3, plus 3 to each letter, right? How do you then go from player? If player is the word, what will be the code? Very simple, plus 3, right? Now P plus 3 will be Q, R and S. You have S in all of these. Then next thing you want to do is you want to check कि last digit किसका है, right? Last digit is T and U. R plus 3 will be S, T and U. That means R plus 3 will be R के बाद S, T and then U. That means ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. You don't even have to solve, right? Do the first, do the last, find out which one should be the answer. The answer is clearly yes. Although even if you solve it, it's not like it's going to take you a lot of time. You just have to add plus 3, plus 3, plus 3 to each. Right? Simple. कितना टाइम लगा इसको करने के लिए? Hardly 10. Once again. Right? So you can imagine in the first 5 minutes, if you had segregated logical reasoning questions, in the first 5 minutes you have already scored 7.5. First 5 minutes. Right? And you have to reach till 67. 67 you have to ensure first and then worry about whether you want to add more to your tally or not. Right? Move to this one. This is a question on inequalities. Consider the following statements. How many of these statements are above are required to determine the oldest person? Right? He is asking you that there are 5 statements granted. Each of these statements is going to correspond to one or the other inequality. He is asking you, the question is, which of these is the oldest person? How many of these statements do you really require to find that out? Right? Now, the first one says A is older than B. In terms of ages, can you write the same thing as A is greater than B? A is older than B. Can we represent it like this? C and D are of the same age. Can you write C is equal to D? Right? Can you combine these two and tell which is the oldest person? You don't know that unless you know कितने लोग हैं already. Right? There is A, B, C, D, E and F. There are 6 people. You can't really tell अभी तक oldest कौन सा होगा. Right? E is the youngest. That means in terms of this series, E will be the youngest. F is younger than D. Can you write it down as F is less than D or D is greater than F? लिख सकते हो? F is older than A. Can you write it down as F is older than A? Something like this. Now combine 4 and 5. If you combine 4 and 5, what do you get? D is greater than F. F is greater than A. Right? You have used both the 4th and the 5th. Next, C and D are of the same age. Combine this with statement number 2. Since C and D are of the same age, C is equal to D. Right? Now, A is older than B. Now, A is older than B. That means A is older than B. Can you right now tell which is the oldest person? You don't know up until now. Why? Because you do not know what the position of E is. Right? E kahan hai? He has clearly said E is the youngest. That means in this series, E is going to come here. Right? You have used this statement also. Now, which of these is the oldest person? The oldest is both C and D. They are the oldest. How many statements did you require to find out which is the oldest person or who is the oldest person? You required all 5. Right? Is it very difficult? Answer should be D, all 5. Very difficult? Let's do this one. This is a question on choose the group which is different from others. You have to pick the odd one out. Series and odd one out. This is the question. Now these are questions which if you don't get them in 10 seconds or 15 or at best 30 seconds, just leave them. Right? Move on. If you have time remaining, come back to them later. Why? Because regardless of how many questions you have done on these patterns, this is just a question on pattern finding. Right? Now patterns you may be aware of, you may not be aware of, you may come down to the pattern in 10 odd seconds, 30 odd seconds. It may take you 5 minutes and you will still not be able to come down to the pattern, regardless of how many questions you have done. Right? So if you cannot get them in 30 odd seconds, just move on. Right? Can you tell what should be the answer to this one? Right? Look at the first set. The first set is 17, 37, 47 and 97. You at least, if you are prepared for CSAT, you at least need to know the first 100 or the number of prime numbers in the first 100 natural numbers. Right? आपको सारे prime numbers पता होने चाहिए 100 तक तो at least. Right? Is 17 a prime number? It is a prime number. Is 37 a prime number? It is also a prime number. Is 47 a prime number? It is also a prime number. Is 97 a prime number? It is also a prime number. Is 31 a prime number? Is 41 a prime number? Is 53 a prime number? Is 67 a prime number? Right? Is 71 a prime number? Yes, it is. 73 is also a prime number. 79 is also a prime number. 83 is also a prime number. That means odd one out hoga yahan pe. Which one? 91. The remaining are all are all prime numbers. Only 91 is not. Which one is the odd one out? It is D. Now this is the kind of question that I would expect anybody who has prepared reasonably for CSAT, he'll be able to get it. Right? You don't have to find too many relations. It's just about odd. It's just about finding prime numbers. Right? This is typically fourth in your order of checking. Right? आप ये देख लोगे चौथा पांचवें में आपको एक बारी चेक कर लेते हो कि प्राइम कौन सा है. Right? Now next question. Consider the following question and statements. There are 5 members A, B, C, D and E. What is the relation of E to B? Right? Now this is a data sufficiency question once again. Right? How many of these statements are sufficient for you to find the answer to the question? What is the relation of E to B? Right? How do you do blood relations? Remember, data sufficiency is a type of question. Right? Data sufficiency question आपको कोई भी topic से आ सकता है. The topic here is blood relations. Right? Blood relations में एक data sufficiency type का question आपको दिया हुआ है. Right? First statement says we are a married couple. That means A is married to B. Right? He has not said who is the husband, who is the wife. Only thing you know is that they are both marital partners. Right? Can you use statement 1 alone to say what is the relation of E to B? You can't. Next statement says is D is the father of C. Now D is the father of C would mean that if this is C, D is the father of C. Since D is the father, D is a male. Right? What gender C is, we can't tell. D is the father, D C ke pitaji hain. You don't know. C could be the daughter, C could even be the son. Right? Next is, can you use statement 2 alone to say what is the relation of E to B? You can't. Can you combine both of them? You still can't combine both of them. Right? There is no way you can tell what is the relation of E to B. Next statement is, E is D's son. Right? Remember, D was C's father. E is D's son. That means what? That means C and E are siblings. Right? And E being the son, that would mean E is a male. Can you now tell what is the relation of E to B? You still can't. Right? There is no way you can connect these two right now. But the relation between E and D is clear. The relation between E and C is clear. Not between these two trees. You can't combine. Right? Next one is what he says is A and C are sisters. Now since A and C are sisters, that means what? That means both of these are sisters. A is a female and C is a female. Now since A was married to B, that means since A is a female, has to be the wife in this equation, B has to be the husband. Now can you tell what is the relationship between B and E? Right? E is B ki wife ka brother. So E has to be the brother-in-law of B. Right? How many statements did you require? All 5. Right? All 4 statements are not sufficiently, are together sufficient to answer the question. Right? Basic hai. Right? It's not very tricky. You just have to form a family tree, find out a way to combine them, and then check whether you get the answer to this question or not. How many statements did you require? All 4. Did you come down to what is the relation between E and B? Yes, you did. Right? He has not asked you what is the relation. He's only asked you how many statements do you require. Get it? Easy? That's not true. It's not how you work with a logical reasoning question. You have to solve them. Right? Up until now, you have found that all four are required. Not necessary. Right? Sometimes all four may not even be sufficient to answer the question. You have to find it out. Right? ये वैसे नहीं कि जनरल स्टडीज 1 की तरह की ये तो एक्सट्रीम लग रहा है तो हटा दो. Right? You have to solve them. All right? हाँ जी. हाँ वो देखना पड़ता है. Right? Every time they ask you a question, right? If they are asking you, if they're specifying a relation, this is also something that works in directions also, right? Direction from what point to what point. Similarly, relation of who to who, right? If he's asking you what is the relation of E to B, that means E B का क्या लगता है, right? अगर if C is A's son, A will then become C's father or mother, depending on what the equation is. You have to be careful if they ask you what the relation is. You have to be careful of किससे किसका relation पूछा हुआ है, right? Although ये पूछा नहीं है इसमें, you don't. All right. Now this was the main bone of contention in the last year, right? I don't know for some reason why, right? This is the question: if today is Sunday, then which day is it exactly on the tennis spot 10th day? Right? This is the confusion even on various forums right now. There are people who are still arguing that UPSC is given the wrong answer, right? The most common answer to this question was, I think, Thursday. ऐसा कुछ निकाल के ले आए थे लोग, right? Which is the wrong answer. Right? It's the most basic question that you will get on calendars. Most basic question. He's telling you today is Sunday, right? Which day is it exactly on the 10 raised power 10th day, right? Now, ordinarily in these questions, what do you do? Right? In questions based on calendars, there is usually a reference date granted to you, and then there is a target date. Reference date will be that date for which information is given. And target date will be the date for which you will have to find out information. Right? Now, calendars are questions on basically the number of odd days between the two. Right? If you find out somehow what is the number of odd days between the reference date and the target date, you will solve any question. Right? Between the reference date and the target, the only thing you have to find out is odd days. Now, if the target date is before the reference date, then you will have to subtract the number of odd days from the reference date. If the target date is ahead of the reference date, in which case you will have to add them. That's it. He's telling you today is a Sunday, and he's telling you 10 raised power 10th day. Find out करके बताओ what day will this be. Now, normally, how do we do these questions? Once we are granted the target date and we know the reference date, the only thing we do is, first what we do is we find out what is the number of odd days between the two, right? What do we do? Normally, we do target date minus reference days. This is going to give us the total number of days between the two. We are not interested in the total number of days, we are interested in the total number of odd days. Now, from this, which is the total number of days between the two, from here, if you have to find out the number of odd days, what do? We divide this by 7 and we find what is the remainder thereof. This remainder becomes the total number of odd days. Now, depending upon whether the target date is previous to the reference date or is ahead of the reference date, you will add it or subtract it respectively. That's what you will do, right? Now, in a question, if he tells you that today is Sunday, right? This is the day, which is today. Find out for me what will be the 7th day. Right? अगर आपसे ऐसे कोई पूछता है, right? If today is Sunday, tell me what will be the 7th day. How do you do this? Right? You will do a target date minus reference date, which is to say 7 minus 1. 7 minus 1 will be 6. Right? 6 is the total number of days between the two. Then you divide 6 by 7. The remainder will be 6 once again. This will be 7 into 0 plus 6. Right? Remainder is 6. What you are going to do is you are going to add 6 to today. Today plus 6. That is what the 7th day. Right? That's what you are doing. Right? Today plus 6, or you can say Sunday plus 6 will be how much? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. That means 7th day will be a Saturday. What you have to be careful about here is, what you're doing is 7 minus 1, right? When you're doing 7 minus 1, you're getting the total of odd days, and then you are adding it, right? Now, if somebody asks you, if today is Sunday, what will be the 8th day? 8th day, what you're doing it, how you are going to solve it is, you're going to do 8 minus 1, that will be 7, 7 divided by 7, so Sunday plus 0, right? That is what you're going to do. Now, the question only does one thing. The question says, today is a Sunday. You have to tell me which one will be the 10 raised power 10th day. Right? Today is a Sunday. Tell me 10 raised power 10th day kya hoga. Right? Now what you will do is, what most people have done is, they have done 10 raised power 10 minus 1 divided by 7. This is what you have to do. Right? Now 10 raised power 10 minus 1 divided by 7 is a very difficult thing to find out. Right? What you should do is 10 raised power 10 divided by 7. If you do 10 raised power 10 divided by 7, right, then what you're going to get is going to solve for the remainder here. Here the remainder theorem lagaoge, and you'll have to find out what the remainder here is. The remainder here will be 10 raised power 10 divided by 7. It should be 3 raised power 10 divided by 7, which should be 9 raised power 5 divided by 7, 2 raised power 5 divided by 7, 32 divided by 7, remainder should be 4. Now quant आपको remainder theorem कराते हैं, that you need to solve this equation, 10 raised power 10 divided by 7, the remainder will be 4. Now you have to be careful. Careful why? Because you're not 10 raised power 10 minus 1 divided by 7. What you're doing is 10 raised power 10 divided by 7. Right? The remainder what you're getting is 4. Right? This 4 if you add to Sunday plus अगर आप 4 add करते हो, what you're going to get is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. You're going to get a Thursday, right? But this Thursday is not the answer, right? Why? Because you have not done the minus 1 bit here, right? What you have solved for is the 10 raised power 10th plus 1th day, right? तुमने 10 raised power 10 plus 1th day के लिए solve किया है, right? If you know what is the 10 raised power 10 plus 1th day, can you tell what is the 10 raised power 10th day? Of course you can. Sunday plus 4 is Thursday, but you have to do a minus 1 here. The answer therefore will be Wednesday. That is what you have to do, right? What you have done is, in this equation, right, अगर आपसे 7th day पूछता है, then you do 7 minus 1, right? आपसे 10 raised power 10th day पूछा है, you have to do 10 raised power 10 minus 1, then divided by 7. If you are doing 10 raised power 10 divided by 7, right, what you are solving for is not the 10 raised power 10th day, you are solving for the next day, right? If you are solving it for the next day, you will always know what is the 10 raised power 10th day, right? अगर आपको next day पता है तो पिछला दिन तो idea लग ही जाएगा. If the next day is Thursday, previous day has to be Wednesday. The answer is Wednesday in this case. Get it? Most people what they did was, they solved for 10 raised power 10 minus 10 raised power 10 divided by 7. They found out, if they knew remainder theorem, they found out what the remainder was, and they came down to Sunday plus 4, which is Thursday, right? The number of days that you're imagining between the reference day and the target date is 10 raised power 10. That means you're solving for 10 raised power 10 plus 1th day. You're not solving for the 10 raised power 10th day, right? For you to get 10 raised power 10th day, you just have to do Thursday minus Wednesday. It has to be Wednesday. I've done this in the class multiple times already.
Hello aspirants, ready to master the UPSC Prelims exams? Introducing Sandhan, the personalized test series from Vision IAS. Gain access to over 15,000 high quality questions customized for your personal study needs. Choose between Vision IAS and UPSC previous year questions for your tests. Sharpen your time management with timed assessments under exam conditions. Get tailored feedback and recommendations from targeted improvement. Build your confidence through customized practice sessions. Take control of your preparation. Enroll in the Sandhan Personalized Test Series today.
Okay. Now this was one question which ideally should not have tricked you, but it has tricked a lot of people. The answer to this has to be Wednesday. Most of these people have come down to the answer Thursday. Why? Because they are simply doing 10 raised power 10 divided by 7, right? Which is going to be solving for 10 raised power 10 plus 1th day. Next day solve kare ho, 10 raised power 10th nahi solve kar rahe, right? In any subtraction, right? When you do a target date minus reference date, or if you do an x minus y, a simple subtraction ka operator will include 1, right? That you are either including the target date or you're including the reference date, right? That is what you have to imagine. If you're assuming that the number of days between today and 10 raised power 10th day is 10 raised power 10, then you are including both, right? That's not what you have to do. you have to include 1, right? Which is why 10 raised power 10 minus 1 you have to solve for. Now 10 raised power 10 minus 1 divided by 7 is something very difficult to do, right? You just do it 10 raised power 10 divided by 7. Right? If you do 10 raised power 10 divided by 7, you're going to get the next day. If you know the next day, you already know what the previous day should be. Thursday minus 1. Get it? Move to the next one. Right? Now this is one question up until now. Even if you knew how to do it through the remainder theorem, I think a lot of candidates have still gotten it wrong. Why? Because they did not pick on this aspect. He's asking you what exactly the 10 raised power 10th day batao mujhe. Right? This is why most people got it wrong. Right? If you ask me, I would categorize it still as a simple question. At best, I will categorize it as an intermediate question. At best, right? Not even that. Okay. Next one is this. There are 40 children standing in a circle, and one of them, say child 1, has a ring. The ring is passed clockwise. Child 1 passes on to child 2, 2 passes on to 4, 4 passes on to 7, and so on. After how many such changes, including child 1, will the ring be in the hands of child 1 again? Now this is a question on series. What is granted to you is that there is a ring. Right? You have 40 children in this ring. Starting from child 1, 1 ke baad hoga 2, 2 ke baad hoga 3, so on, sub to 40. This will be 39, this will be 38, right? Something like this. Right? What is happening is, the first child has a ring. This person has a ring. He passes it on to this. The second one passes it on to the fourth one, right? And the fourth one is going to pass it on to the fifth, sixth, and seventh. Going to pass it on to the seventh one, right? What is really happening is, from the first one, from the first, this ring is being passed to the second, from the second to the fourth, from the fourth to the seventh, and so on. Right? ऐसा हो रहा है, right? That means from the first to the second, there is an addition of 1. From the second to the fourth, you are skipping 1 in the middle, and then you are giving into the fourth. That means you are doing a +2. Similarly, from the fourth to the seventh, you are doing a +3. Right? There is a certain pattern upar. Right? 1, 2, 3. The next one in the series should have been 7 plus 4. The seventh one is going to give to the 11th one. Right? Similarly, this series has to move forth. The question he is asking you is, after how many such passings will it be back to the child 1 again, including the first time? Which is, you have to start from the first child. The first child passed it on to the second one. He did not skip anybody. The second one passed it on to the fourth one. Right? That means he has skipped 1 in the middle. 2 plus 2 is 4. The fourth one passed it on to the seventh one. Seventh one clearly has to pass it on to the 11th one. Right? 11th one is going to pass it on to the 16th. From the 16th, you have to pass it on to the 22nd. From the 22nd, you will pass it on to the 29th. From the 29th, you are going to pass it on to the 37th. From the 37th, you have to add 9 more. Now remember, there are only 40 children here. Right? That means 37 plus, you have to do 9. That means 38, 39, 40. And then you will have to begin with 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Right? That means this is going to pass to the 6th one. Right? 37 plus 9 would be what? This is 37. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right? 7, 8, and 9. This you have to be 6th. Right? This one will be the 6th. The 6th one is going to pass it on to the 16th. 16th is going to pass it on to the 27th. 27th is going to pass it on to the 39th. Now, once again, how much is it going to pass on to? Or who is it going to pass on to? 39 plus 13, which is going to be the 12th person. Why? Because 39 plus 1 will be 40. 40 ke baad the series again begins from 1. That means this person is going to be 12th. Now 12th one is going to pass it on to the 26th one. And from 26th one, right, 26 plus 15 is going to be 41. That means 40 ke baad the next person is going to pass it on to will be person 1 again. How many iterations did it take? From the first one back to the first one, you took a total of 15 iterations. Right? This is the most simple question that you can ever get, right? The first one passed it on to the second, second one passed it on to the fourth, fourth passed it on to the seventh. You just have to understand what is the underlying pattern. The underlying pattern is a simple AP, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, keep on adding, right? You just have to get down to this last one again, which is 1. And he has said including the first time, right? That means you have to count this wala event also, right? So a total of how many events? 15 events it took for the ring to be back to the first one again. Do we have a 15 here? We do. Answer has to be B. Easy? All right. This one is the more challenging one, right? He's asking you what is the middle term of the sequence. A similar question was asked in the previous year also, right? Now this is thoda sa challenging, if you may want to call it that, right? There is Z, Z, Y, 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 X, 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 W, 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 something, something, right? Last is A. He's asking you ki in this series or in this sequence, which one is the middle term, right? You have to first understand what the pattern is. Here, Z has been written how many times? 2 times. Y has been written 3 times. X has been written 4 times. W has been written 5 times, right? This is alphabetical series in reverse, right? First find out or first decipher what this pattern is, right? Now, how do you do this? Very simple. Ordinarily, this is the sequence A, B, C, F, so on until ऐसा होता है. This is the alphabet series, right? A is the first, B is the second, C is the third, D is the fourth, fifth, sixth. This is the 26th, 25, 24, and 23. First thing he does is, because the series begins with Z, he has flipped this order. सबसे पहले इसने इसको किया flip, right? He has made Z the first one, he has made Y the second one, X the third one, W the fourth one, so on so forth. He has made C, B, and A being the last one. Something like this. पहले तो उसने flip. Next thing what he does is, Z has been written not once, Z is written 2 times. Y is written 3 times. X is written 4 times. Basically what he is doing is +1, +1, +1, +1, right? Similarly, +1, +1, +1, right? Z का corresponding number हो गया 2. So he's going to write Z 2 times. Y का corresponding number is 3. So he's going to write Y 3 times. X का corresponding number is 4. He's going to write X 4 times. W का corresponding number is 5. So 5 times. So on up till A is going to write how many times? 27 times, right? Now you can't write all of these. Just remember A is going to be written 27 times. Is there a series that you find here? The first set is 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last number in this sequence will be 27. Is this a series? What kind of a series is this? This is an AP. It's an arithmetic progression. He's asking you to find out what will be the middle term in this sequence. For you to find out the middle term in this sequence, you first need to know how many terms in total in the sequence. इसमें total कितने हैं? Yeah, you will have to do a 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus so on करते till 27. Why do you want to do that? Right? If you just know what is the sum of the first n numbers in a series, in an AP. Right? Do you know this sum of an AP? The formula for this. If you do not know what the last term is, then the formula will be n by 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 into d. Right? In this sequence, since you know the first term is 2 and the last term is 27, there is an easier formula for you to do this. This will be n by 2 into a plus l, where a is the first term of the AP and l is the last term of the AP. N is the total number of these alphabets, or you can say, or these events. Right? Now n in this case is, there is a total of 26 alphabets, right? So n will be 26 divided by 2. What is the first term of this AP? It is 2. What is the last term of this AP? It is 27. Find it out. 2 plus 27 is 29. This will be 13 times 29, which is 377. Right? Now there is a total of 377 terms in this sequence. 377. He is asking you to find out which one is the middle one, right? Middle one kaun si hogi? 377 divided by 2, which is going to be which one? 188.5. Right? Now 188.5 is not the one that you have to look at. You have to look at the 189th term. Right? उसके एक तरफ 188 होंगे, दूसरी तरफ 188 होंगे. 189th will be the middle term. Right? Now, how do you get down to finding out which will be the 189th term? Right? Multiple ways of doing it. If you know more formula, you can do it very quick. Right? But do it थोड़ा सा sequence में. You know there is a total of 377 terms. Right? Total terms is 377. इसमें A कितने हैं? How many A's in these 377? There are 27 A's. How many B's? 26 B's. How many C's? 25 C's. Right? If I subtract all the 27 A's, I'm going to get how many terms? 350. मैंने 377 में से I subtracted all 27 A's. Now I have a number which is 350. 350 will have only B onwards. Right? A हमने हटा दिया. Right? Now from this 350, how many B's in total? 27 A's, 26 B's. अगर मैं ये भी हटा दूं, I'm going to get 324. Now 324 will not have A, will not have B also. Right? This begins from C itself. From this 324, how many C's do I have to subtract? 25 C's. That is going to get me 299. 299 में we don't have A, we don't have B, and we don't have C either. 299 में से कितने से D's हटाने मुझे? 24 D's. I'm going to get a 275. Right? 275 now does not have A, does not have B, does not have C or D. Right? 275 में से if I subtract 23 E's, how much am I going to get? I'm going to get 252. Now 252 में से if I subtract 22 F's also, what am I going to get? 230. अब 230 में से if I subtract 21 G's, what am I going to get? 209. 209 में से if I subtract how many? 20 H's, I'm going to get 189. This is the number I was looking for. So 189 will have, right? It will be starting from I itself. Right? This is logical reasoning. You don't have to come down to, you can say formula का कोई फायदा नहीं है. You just have to solve it logically, right? There will be 27 A's, 26 B's, 25 C's, right? Similarly, you just have to cull them out, find out which is the middle term. Middle term is going to be 189. 189 will begin from I's itself. Get it? What will be the middle term here? The middle term will be I. Answer should be B. Right? Now this is a question that again I can imagine if you do not know arithmetic progression, right, you may struggle with it or may take some more time to solve this, although not a very difficult question. Do this one. This is a question on inequalities. Right? Inequalities mein he has given you certain statements. He says A plus B means A is neither smaller to nor equal to B. That means A, he's saying A plus B means that A is neither smaller than B, A is not equal to B. Right? That means what will this be corresponding to? ना तो वो बराबर है, ना तो वो छोटा है. तो क्या possibility बची? Has to be only bigger. That means plus corresponds to greater than. There are only three operators, right? Less than, greater than, and equal to. He is saying A plus B means A is not equal to B, A is not less than B either. ना तो less है, ना तो equal है, बच क्या गया? बच गया सिर्फ greater. That means A is greater than B. Right? Similarly, A minus B means A minus B means that A is not greater than B. If A is not greater than B, right, what are the possibilities that still remain? A could be equal to B or A could be less than B. That means that minus का sign corresponds to less than, equal to. Right? तीन ही operators हैं. You have greater than, equal to, or less than. Right? A multiplied by B means A is not smaller than B. A multiplied by B means A is not smaller than B. If A is not smaller than B, then what possibilities remain? A could be equal to B or A could be greater than B. That means multiplied corresponds to greater than equal to, है ना? तीन ही पॉसिबिलिटीज होती हैं बिटवीन नंबर्स, या तो एक नंबर दूसरे से बड़ा होगा, या तो छोटा होगा, या तो बराबर होगा, राइट? यही तीन पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं. नाउ यू हैव A divided by B. A divided by B means A is neither greater nor equal to B. That means A ना तो B से बड़ा है, A ना तो B के बराबर है. बच क्या गया? Less than. That means divided by corresponds to the sign of less than. A plus minus B means A is neither smaller nor greater than B. That means this should correspond to equals, right? If it's greater than the other one, if a number is not less than the other one, clearly the number has to be equal to the other one, right? That means A plus minus B, A is not greater than B, A is not less than B. The only possibility then remains is equal to. Now for each of these operators, you have a corresponding sign, right? हर ऑपरेटर के लिए अब आपको पता चल गया what does plus represent, what does minus represent, what does multiplication represent, what does divided by represent, and what does plus minus represent. Question is, the statement he gives you is P times Q, right? P multiplied by Q. Multiplication वाला sign क्या है? Greater than equal to. P minus T. P minus T would be P is less than equal to T. T divided by R, divided by is less than R, T is less than R, R plus minus S, R is equal to S. Can you combine these two? Can you combine them? You certainly can. I hope to God you can. Right? This should mean that T is less than equal to R, equal to S. Now P is greater than equal to T, and P is also greater than equal to Q. Right? Or you can say Q is less than equal to P. Something like this. Right? Now you have an inequality which is something like this. Q is less than equal to P, less than T. एक बार याद से रखना इसको क्या लिखा हुआ है? Keep. Okay. Just इसको remember कर लो. Right? What is it? Q is less than equal to P, less than equal to T. Okay, चलो हम फर्क क्या पड़ता है? Let's solve this. Q plus minus T. He is asking you to check whether Q is equal to T or not. Right? Why? Because plus minus represents equal to. Is Q equal to T or not? Q T के बराबर है? How? Remember this. Every time he is asking you a conclusion, he is asking you whether this is definitely true or not. Right? Is Q equal to T? There is one possibility in which Q would be equal to T, but you do not necessarily know. ये conclusively आप नहीं बोल सकते. Right? You have P which is greater than equal to Q. You have P which is less than equal to T. There is one off chance that Q could be equal to T, right? But not always. So you will not mark this. Next is S plus Q, right? He's not asking you which of these is a possibility. When he's asking you that this is the conclusion, conclusion is Q is equal to T. That means Q has to be equal to T. There is no other option for you, right? यहाँ पर there is a scope that Q could be equal to T, but you don't know. Next is S plus Q. Plus represents what? Plus represents greater than. Is S greater than Q or not? Now you can replace R with S, right? You can write down that S is greater than T. लिख सकते हो, right? T is greater than equal to P and P is greater than equal to Q. Since S is greater than T and T is greater than equal to P, can you write that S is greater than P? Right? S is greater than T. T is either greater than P or equal to P. In case T is equal to P, S will still be greater than P. If T is greater than P, S is greater than T. Clearly, S will still be greater than T or P. Now, P is greater than equal to Q. Right? P can either be greater than Q, P cannot be equal to Q. If P is equal to Q, S is greater than P. That means S is greater than Q also. If P is greater than Q, S is anyways greater than P. That means S therefore will be greater than Q. This is going to work, not this one. Conclusion 2 is true. Only conclusion 2 follows on the statement. Basic question. Right? Any confusions here? None? It's time consuming when I am explaining it to you. right? By this time, you should be prepared enough for you to take less than 30 seconds to do this, right? Because I have to say it out loud. मुझे बता के करना पड़ता है, which is why it's taking some time. It's appearing to you that it's going to take time, right? It's not going to take so much time in the exam if you are prepared for it. अगर नहीं हो फिर तो क्या ही बोल सकते हैं, right? Let's do the next one. All right. Consider the sequence that follows a certain pattern. Right? Which of the following completes this sequence? Right? This is a very simple type of question. In this question, you just have to put these options back into the sequence and see whether there is a pattern that is being followed. First thing you do in these questions is you count the number of, you can say, terms in the sequence. How many are there? You have 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 3 is 11, 14, 17 and 20. Right? You have a total of 20 terms. Now 20 terms mein patterns could be multiple. You could have a set of 2, right? 10 sets of 2, ye bhi ho sakta hai. You could have 4 sets of 5. You could have 5 sets of 4, or you could have 10 sets of 2, right? Isme the least likelihood is one that of this. कि 10 term में एक pattern बन रहा है, and then you have to understand that that is the least likely, right? So you ordinarily want to begin from either any of these, right? इसमें से चेक कर लो सबसे पहले कि 4 के 5 सेट बन रहे हैं या 5 के 4 सेट बन रहे हैं, किस टाइप का पैटर्न बन रहा है, right? First thing you want to do is calculate the number of terms and see कितने patterns बन सकते हैं, what are the various possibilities, right? Next thing you want to do is put these options back into the sequence, right? Normally in these questions start from the last option, right? Normally इसको start किया करो last से, because these are the kind of questions that they typically ask you to waste your time, right? This is the most simple question. आपने कुछ नहीं करना होता, you just have to put these options back into the sequence and see कोई pattern बन रहा है कि नहीं. Usually they keep the answer towards the end. They want you to waste some time, right? Now put these options back into it, right? If you put a DDCA, right? This is D, this is D, this is C, and this is A. Is there a sequence that is being found? Find out a set of 4 first. This is ABCD, DABC, CDAB, BCDA, ABCD again, right? You had an ABCD. Next thing you did was, this is the next one is DABC. That means D was then placed here. You got D, A, B, and C. Next thing what you did was you placed C here. This would have been C, D, A, B. Do we have a C, D, A, B? We do have a C, D, A, B, right? Place B once again here. You get a B, C, D, and A. We have a B, C, D, A, right? Place A back again here. A, B, C, D. We have an A, B, C, D also, right? The answer to this one has to be this. This is the easiest question that you're going to get. The only thing is, thoda sa organized manner we have to solve this. First, count the number of terms in the sequence. Then assume it could be a set of 5 also, right? Ye to set of 4 se ho gaya solve. It could be a set of 5. 4 sets of 5 with a pattern, right? It could be sets of 2 also. 10 sets of 2. Although the likelihood of 10 sets of 2 is very less, right? The likelihood of 2 sets of 10 is even lesser, right? So you have to find out a middle or sweet spot in between. Get it? Right? Easiest questions. Put these options back into the sequence and see if there is a pattern that is being followed. Easy? This is your 75th question. We are very close to the end of 2023. Now this question. Up until now, how many questions have you found which were challenging? कितने questions थे जो आपको challenging लग रहे हैं? Right? 1 or 2 होंगे जो जिसने somebody, I'm asking about some person who has prepared for it at least in a standard manner, right? 2 questions you would find up until now which are challenging. One would be that sequence wala question at best, right? इसके अलावा the next question which would be challenging, it's not really challenging if you, it's just out of carelessness that you would not have marked that question right, which is the 10 is but 10th one wala, right? That is basically carelessness, nothing else, right? It's the most simple question that you can do. Now this question, right? The question says, consider the following statements in respect of 5 candidates P, Q, R, S, and T. 2 statements are true, 1 statement is false, right? There are 3 statements granted. He is already telling you that there are 2 statements which are true and 1 statement which is false. Then he tells you which of the following conclusions can be drawn. He gives you 2 conclusions and then basis these statements, two of which are true, one is false, he's asking you इनमें से कौन सा conclusion holds, right? First statement, which is a true statement, he says, is one of P and Q was selected for the job. There are 5 candidates: P, Q, R, S, and T. 5 candidates. First, he says is one of P and Q is selected for the job. That means between P and Q, one person has been selected. He does not tell you which one. It could be P, it could be Q. And this is a true statement. That means between P and Q, one candidate is selected. Next statement he says is at least one of R and S was selected for the job. Firstly, at least का meaning क्या होता है? Minimum, right? That means इनमें से R and S में से at least one was selected, right? That means either R was selected or S were selected or both. Because he's saying at least, right? दोनों में से कम एक तो select हुआ ही है. That means या तो एक हुआ या तो दोनों हुए. But this is a false statement, right? That means none of this has happened, right? Both have not been selected, S has not been selected, and R has not been selected. That means इन दोनों में से कोई एक भी select नहीं हुआ, right? That means between R and S, no person has been selected. Remember, this is a false statement, right? At least one of R and S was selected. At least का firstly meaning क्या होगा? Greater than one, right? At least one का मतलब क्या है? Either R is selected or S is selected or both are selected. But this is a false statement. That means at least एक भी select नहीं हुआ है, right? That means none of them has been selected, right? 0 person has been selected between R and S. Third statement, which is a true statement, he says at most 2 of R, S, and T were selected for the job. Now, what is at most? It means maximum, right? Between R, S, and T, maximum of 2 people were selected for the job. Maximum of 2 people का meaning क्या? It could be 0, 1, or 2. It could be that 2 people are selected, it could be that 1 person is selected, or it could be that no person is selected. Now, between R, S, and T, we already know from statement 2 that R and S में से कोई भी select नहीं हुआ है. That means in a set of R, S, and T, you do not have a possibility of having selected 2 candidates. दो तो हो ही नहीं सकते, right? Because between R, S, and T, R is not selected, S is not selected, right? At best, it is about T. T may either be selected or may not be selected. He is saying at most. बहुत ही हो गया तो इनमें से 2 select हुए हैं, right? That means there are possibilities 0, 1, and 2, right? That means T is either selected or T is not selected, right? Now he is asking you which of these conclusions can be drawn. First conclusion he says is at least 4 were selected for the job. Now at best, out of these 5, at best कितने लोग select हुए होंगे? You know that R and S are not selected, right? Between P and Q, he is saying one of P and Q was selected, right? At best 1, and T may be selected, may not be selected. That means if T is selected, maximum of 2 candidates here are selected, maximum, right? Can there be 4? So at least 4 का मतलब क्या है? 4 या 4 से ज़्यादा है, either 4 or 5. Wrong. Next is S was selected for the job. Now between R and S, वो तो second statement से आपको पता चल गया था, S was not selected for the job, right? Not this. Answer has to be neither 1 nor 2. Right? Difficult? Mind you, this is the 77th question. Right? You're nearing the end of the exam. Right? This is 78th. And this is something that if you're not from a science background or an engineering background, you may find this as challenging, where it is really not challenging. Right? Let P, Q, R, S, and T be 5 statements such that, first one he says, if P is true, then both Q and S are true. Right? These are logical statements, remember, right? He's saying if P, agar P true hai, then both Q and S are true. That means then Q is true and S is also true. अगर P true है, then Q को भी true होना पड़ेगा and S को भी true होना पड़ेगा. It's an and condition, right? Next he says is if R and true, which is to say if R is true and S is also true, then T is false, right? If both of these are true, then T becomes false. Remember, this is an T to be false, R and S have to be true simultaneously, right? Similarly, for P to be true, Q and S be true simultaneously. Get it? It's an and condition. Next he says is, which of the following can be concluded? First is, if T is true, then at least one of P and R must be false, right? Saying if P is true, if T is true, अगर T true है, then at least one का मतलब क्या? Either one or both of P and R must be false. Now when will T be true? If false, in which case both, right? T is not false, T is true. That means both of them are not true simultaneously, right? If both of them are not true simultaneously, that could mean either one is false or both are false, right? You could have a situation where R is true and S is false. You could have a situation where R is false and S is true. You could have a situation where R is false and S is false. Because if these both are true, then T becomes false. T is not false, T is true. If T is true, then means ये दोनों तो simultaneously true नहीं है, right? There are three possibilities which can result, right? Now for T to be true, at least one of P and R must be false, right? T is true, R is false. T is true, R is false, right? T is true, R can be true. If R is true, that means S has to be false. If S is false, look at it here. If S is false, will P be true? For P to be true, both Q and S have to be true. If S is false, that means P cannot be true, P will be false. That means either R is false, when R is true, then S is false, and if S is false, then P also is false. That means at least one of P and R have to be false if T is true. Get it? So, right? This is the correct condition. Next he asks you is, if Q is true, then P is true. Now this is easy to find, for you to find out. If P is true, he's saying if Q is true, then P is true. No, for P to be true, there has to be a simultaneous condition. Q has to be true and S has to be true. You cannot individually on the basis of Q say that P will be true, right? What if Q is true and S is false? We don't know in which case P is true or not, right? The only relation which has been granted in terms of P and Q is for P to be true, then Q and S both have to be true. He's saying if Q is true, P is true, right? Not necessary. You don't know about S. Get it? This does not work and this does, right? Remember, he's saying at least one of R, P and R must, right? You have to say if T is true, T true तब होगा जब T false नहीं होगा. T false जब हो रहा है, then R is true and S is true. Since T is true, that means ये तो नहीं है, right? Both of these are not true at the same time. It means either one could be false or both could be false. So you draw three possibilities, right? He's asking you for T to be true, either R has to be false or P has to be false or both have to be false, right? R की false की दो conditions तो हैं ही आपके पास. If T is true, if R is true, right? When R is true, then S has to be false for T to be true. If S is false, right? यहाँ पर देख लो, then P has to be false. Get it? Easy? This is something that maybe for some people it could be challenging, but it should not be. It's a very basic logical question. All right, this one. A cuboid of dimensions 7 cross 5 cross 3 is painted red, green and blue color on each pair of opposite faces of dimensions 7 cross 5, 5 cross 3, 7 cross 3 respectively, right? He's first telling you there is a cuboid. It's not a cube, it's a cuboid, right? A cuboid has a dimension of 7 cross 5 cross 3. First, draw a cuboid of 7 cross 5 cross 3. It does not really matter कि 7 कौन सा बनाओ, 5 कौन सा बनाओ, 3 कौन सा बनाओ. It really doesn't matter, right? Imagine that this is 7, this is 5, and this is 3. These are the dimensions of the cuboid, right? He's saying this cuboid is painted in 3 colors. First color he says is red, green, and blue, right? There are 3 colors, red, green, and blue, on each pairs of opposite faces of dimensions 7 cross 5, 5 cross 3, 7 cross 3. That means 7 cross 5 is red, 5 cross 3 is green, and 7 cross 3 is blue. Why? Because it's likha hai respectively, right? 7 cross 5 is red, right? Which one will be the 7 cross 5 one? This is also 7, this is also 5, this is the 7 cross 5, and ek bottom wala is the 7 cross 5. Both of them are red, right? Next he says is, which one is green? 7 cross 5 is red, 5 cross 3 is green. Which one is 5 cross 3? This one will be 5 cross 3, and then iska opposite one will be 5 cross 3. That means this is green, and back side is also green. Red is top, and red is also bottom. The remaining faces will be blue. This is blue, and that side is blue, right? First you draw this bigger cuboid. Next he says is, it has been cut down into. Then this cuboid is cut and separated into various cubes of each side 1 centimeter. Which of the following statements is correct? Firstly, you will have to cut this bigger cuboid into cubes of dimension 1 centimeter. Since cube ka length, width and height are the same, right? You have to draw the cubes jisme 1 centimeter ki dimension hoegi, right? Now a side which is 7 centimeters in length. How many of 1 centimeters cuts will you make here? You will make, cuts will be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That way, you have how many smaller cubes along each dimension? You have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. Right? 7 ki agar length hai, and it has to be cut into smaller cubes of dimension 1 centimeter. So, along this length, how many such smaller cubes can you stack? 7. Right? Similarly, along the width, since the width is 5, how many cuts will you make? You will make 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each of these cuts will be 1 centimeter apart. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 centimeter cut, 1, 1, 1, 1. Right? Now the height is 3. How many such cuts will you make? 2. 1 apart. This is 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, and 1 centimeter. Right? Now you have smaller cubes of dimension 1, 1, and 1. Although in the figure it does not look like a cube. Kyun banana hai? You can imagine it. Right? Now you have smaller cubes which have been cut out of this bigger cuboid. Look at the question now. The question asks you, there are exactly 15 small cubes with no paint on any face. Right? Now, if you have done cubes generally, right, which will be the cubes, smaller cubes, which will have no faces painted? The ones which are beneath this outer shell, the number of cubes in the core of it. Right? How do you find it out? Right? Here you will have n of L minus 2 times n of H minus 2 times n of W minus 2. Right? There is a formula for this you can come down to. Right? How many, remember n is the number of smaller cubes along each dimension. Length ke round kitne hain smaller cubes? It's 7 only. Right? This is 7 minus 2 times height mein kitne? There are 3. So it's going to be 3 minus 2 times width mein kitne? There are 5. So it's going to be 5 minus 2. It's going to be 5 times 1 times 3, which is going to be 15. There are 15 smaller cubes underneath this outer surface, and none of those cubes will have paint on any faces. What did he say? Isne kitne likhe the? He said there are 15. There are exactly 15 smaller cubes with no faces painted. So the first statement is true. Second he says is, there are exactly 6 small cubes with exactly 2 faces, one painted with blue and the other painted with green. Right? Firstly, exactly 6 small cubes with exactly 2 faces painted. we have to find out those cubes which have exactly 2 faces painted, not more than that. If you have done any questions on cubes, there is a possibility of 0 faces painted, 1, 2 or 3 at best, right? या तो 3 होंगे, या तो 2 होंगे, या 1 होगा, या तो 0 होंगे, right? 0 lies at the core, right? 1 face painted will lie at this face except the edges and the corners, right? 2 faces painted will be on the edges except the corners, and on the corners you will find smaller cubes with 3 faces painted. He's asking you to find such cubes which have exactly 2 faces painted, one painted with, which one? I forgot the color. Blue and green? Yes, one with blue and other with green. Firstly, you need to know that this has to be on the edges only. You have to find out those edges jahan par blue and green are there, right? This is one edge of blue and green, right? You have one of these cubes, right, which has one face blue and other face green. Similarly, this one will also be green and blue on that side. Why? Because opposite faces are the same color, right? Similarly, you will have one more, which is blue on this side and green on that side. And there will be one cube diametrically opposite to this one, right? There will be 4 such cubes with exactly 2 faces painted, one with blue and the other one with green, not 6. Right? That means this statement is incorrect. The first one is correct, this is correct, and this is not. Answer has to be 1 only. Right? This is one of the more basic questions in dices and cubes. One of the more basic questions. All right. Do we have one more? We have one more question. Right? I was telling this in my classes also. A lot of people came to me and said there was no question on logical reasoning in 2023. And this is the level of preparation. Right? 15, 16 such questions. And people can't tell whether these are logical reasoning or not. Right? The letters of the word incomprehensibilities are arranged alphabetically in the reverse order. How many positions of the letters will remain unchanged? Now this is much more basic, right? What he's saying is there is a word, the word is incomprehensibilities, right? The letters of this word are arranged alphabetically in the reverse order. How many positions of the letters will remain unchanged? Firstly, you just have to type out what the word is. Idhar hi solve kar lein isko. I think board pe karta hai. The word is incomprehensibility. Firstly, we'll find out which are the alphabets in this word. Kaun se alphabets hai? You just have to do it in an organized manner. Do we have an A? We don't have an A. Do we have a B? Yes, we do. We have a B. Ek B hai hamare paas. Which one? This. Do we have a C? Yes, we do. There is one C, no other. Do we have a D? No. Do we have an E? Yes. How many? This is 1, 2, and 3. Right? Do we have an F? No. Do we have a G? No. Do we have an H? We do have an H. How many? There is only one H. Do we have an I? How many I's? In fact, how many I's? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are 5 I's. Do we have a J? No. Do we have a K? No. Do we have an L? Yes. How many L's? There is only one L. Do we have an M? Yes. How many M's? Incomprehensibilities, only one. Do we have an N? How many? This is 1, 2. Do we have an O? Yes, we do. Do we have a? Of course we have a P. Incomprehensibilities, right? You have a P. Do we have a Q? No. Do we have an R? 1. There's only one R. Do we have an S? How many? 1 and 2. Do we have an T? This is only 1. U? No, we don't. V? No. W? No. X? No. Y? No. Z? No. Right? This is what we have. And then we have to arrange it in the reverse order. Right? You just have to know. Isko reverse mein likhne ke liye. First will be T. Then we'll have 2 S's. Then we will have one R. Then we'll have one P. Then we'll have one O. Then we will have 2 N's. then we will have one M, then we will have one L, then we will have 5 times I. This is I, and I. Then we will have one H, 3 E's, and then one C and one B. He is asking you for how many letters has the position remained unchanged. Right? They are not the same, 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 not the same. 1 and 2. Not the same. It's only 2 I's. Right? This is your answer. Right? Sorry, 2. C. Right? There were how many such questions? Roughly around 15 of these questions. Out of these 15 questions, can you first see how they are scattered? Right? In the set A, you have the 80th one, 79th, 78th, and also 77. So 77 to 80. Any of these questions difficult? None of these questions are difficult. Right? So somebody who would have started maybe ulta, right, could have been lucky to begin with. Right? Then you have in the middle 75. In fact, 75 is also very close. Right? 70. So 70 से 80 के बीच में have roughly 7 questions on logical reasoning. Somebody who starts from the beginning itself, right? 15 में से 7 सवाल तो आखिरी के 10 में से एक है, right? So you have to understand this, which is what I'm telling you. First thing you want to do is identify questions, mark them out. Identify करो, mark कर दो, right? And then do these questions first. Logical reasoning is typically the easier bit between quantitative aptitude and LR, right? So start from logical reasoning. Does not take you a lot of time, right? Except for this question maybe. This one, right, which could be challenging for some people. This question probably because of the oversight. Apart from this, there is no question in this entire set which is anywhere difficult. Or did you find any difficult questions? 2 questions out of 15 which you could have thought कि यार questions चलो मैं यहाँ पर struggle कर लूँगा, right? 13 questions you are very easily able to do. Right? 13 times 2.5 is how much? This is roughly around 32 to 33. How long will it take you to do these questions, 13 questions? बहुत ही हो गया तो 25 minutes, right? 25 minutes, you have already scored somewhere 32, 33. If you can find another 32, 33 in quants, I'm very sure you will have 10 to 12 questions in quants that you can easily do, right? You have cleared the cutoff in the first half itself, right? Then you move on to RCs, and last year's RC was the easiest RC in the last one decade. It was the easiest. Right? No difficulties, no confusion in the last year. Right? This is what you have to do. You have to find a way to navigate. First is identify logical reasoning questions, identify quant ke questions, identify RC. You don't have to identify, dikh jata hai. Right? Next thing is know where to start from. You may have certain areas which are your areas of strength. जो भी आपके favorite areas हैं, वहाँ के questions ढूंढो. First solve them. Right? You will get some confidence, then go for those areas where you're not very confident, but at least you know how to solve these questions, right? Do it in a very time-bound manner, leave the later half for RCs, and then move to RCs. Get it? We'll do the 2022 one now. Can we take a small break in the middle? Should we? 2022 is, you also would see how it is going, right? As you go, you will see that the transition will be, right, 2023 will be, if you can call it difficult, which I don't think it is, right? But still, 2022 will be easier, 2021 will be further easier, right? The RCs mein trend will be ulta. RCs we will have in the middle, you will find very, very difficult RCs. Last year was the easiest. Every year, you have 3 sections. 2 of these sections, they'll try to make it moderate to difficult. 1 section will be easy, right? You always have to remember, which is why you cannot keep all of your eggs in one basket. Ye nahi kar sakte. Right? You have to know if RC and if LR and quant is hard, then RC will be easy. Right? Last year, quants was harder, LR is pretty easy, and RCs was the easiest in one decade. Still, a lot of people struggled to clear the cutoff. Why would they struggle? Because they have no plan of going about that question paper. They are too worried about each question and they think of it as an ego tussle. It's not an ego tussle. You have to first secure 67 and then think about anything else. Right? पहले 67 ले आओ, उसके बाद सोचो कुछ सोचना है तो. Get it? We'll take a short break and then we'll continue with 2022. Hello. Fair enough. Let's do 2022. Once again, the set is A. The first question in set A, that is of LR, is question number 4. This is a question on series or sequences. He's asking you what is the value of x in the sequence, right? The sequence granted is 20, 10, 10, 15, 30, 75 and x. Once again, directed hidden trial. How do you go from 20 to a 10? Right? 20 से 10 कैसे जाया जाए? Multiplied by 0.5. How do you go from 10 to 10? Multiplied by 1. How do you go from 10 to 15? Multiplied by 1.5. How do you go from 15 to 30? Multiplied by 2. How do you go from 30 to 75? Multiplied by 2.5. So there is a certain sequence which is being followed. 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Next one has to be multiplied by 3. Simple. 75 times 3, 225. Easy. Right? Now these questions are questions which are a function of how many of these questions have you solved previously. कितने आपने पैटर्न्स देख रखे हैं उसके बेसिस पे डिपेंड करता है आप कितनी स्पीड से how speedily can you solve these questions, right? Sometimes some of these questions could be challenging, right? So if you cannot get them right in 15-30 odd seconds, just move to the next question. Next one is a question on directions, right? Question number 6. Two friends X and Y start running and they run together for 50 meters in the same direction. Now he's not specifying which direction, right? North, east, south, west, does not specify, right? So you can start in any direction. There is one starting point. From the starting point, X and Y, they run in the same direction. Let's imagine that they ran in, let's say, this direction. They ran for how long? 50 meters. Reach a point X. So they reach a certain point. X turns right and runs 60 meters. Since they ran in the east direction, right, this is where X and Y will be after 50 meters. X turns right. He's facing the east and he's turning a right turn. Right? That means he's now going to be in the south direction. Right? X turns right and runs 60 meters. X was facing east. Right? You can imagine X to be standing here facing that wall. He turns right. Right uska downward side aayega. He runs 60 meters. Right? In these questions, you have to keep a sense of scale. If this is 50, 50 se thoda bada hi banayega 60. Right? While Y turns left and runs 40 meters. X turned right, Y turned left. That means they're in opposite directions. Y was facing east only. Y turns left. That means he's not going to be running in the north direction. For how much? For 50 meters. Y goes somewhere here, 50 meters. This is X and this is Y. Then X turns left. Sorry. Then X. Sorry, this is 40. 40 meters, 60 meters. All right. Then X turns left and runs 50 meters again. Now X was facing the south direction. He turns left. That means he's going to now start running in the east direction once again. How long does he run for? He runs for 50 meters once more. He's going to go 50 meters once again. X dash, X double dash. While Y turns right and runs 50 meters. Now Y was somewhere here facing the north. Y turns right would mean that he's now going to the east direction. How much does he run for? 50 meters. Now you have to keep in mind that the bottom one is also 50 meters. This one is also 50 meters. These are opposite sides of a rectangle. Therefore, both of them will be in alignment. This is where Y is going to finally be. Then stops. How far are these two friends from each other now? Right? Which is to say, he's asking you the distance between this and this. Opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. This is 60 plus 40, which is going to be 100. Therefore, this one is also going to be 100. They are 100 meters apart. Get it? Difficult? Let's move to the next one. Does it take how much? Yes, depending upon how well you are acquainted with directions, it shouldn't take you more. Right? Sometimes there may be some tricky questions in there. अगर आपको geometry के basic concepts आते हैं, these are typically easier questions to solve. इसमें ज़्यादा time नहीं लगता. Right? If they ask you distances, sometimes ये तो बहुत ही आसान था. Sometimes it could be tricky. Right? Otherwise, this one was one of the more basic ones. ये तो the second में इससे ज़्यादा नहीं. Which date of the month of June amongst the following is a Sunday? Right? Now this is a question on calendars. Right? He's asking you which of these dates in the month of June 2099 is a Sunday, right? Now, this is a question where 4th is a Sunday, 5th is a Sunday, 6th or 7th. You have to pick any one date. If you find out what day 4th of June 2099 is, you already know what the 5th will be, what the 6th will be and what the 7th will be, right? कोई भी एक date उठाओ, solve करो उसके लिए. This is a question where you have not been given any reference date. कोई आपको reference date नहीं दी हुई है. No reference date has been granted, right? Only thing he is asking you is June 2099 में which of these 4th, 5th, 6th or 7th, which of these is a Sunday? Solve for any of these dates, you already know what the other dates would be. If you know what the 4th is, you already know what the 5th, 6th or 7th will be, right? Pick any date. Pick, let's say, 4th of June. Let us find out what the 4th of June 2099 will be. How do you do this? In these questions, where there is no reference date granted, the reference date becomes day 0 of the Gregorian calendar, the day Gregorian calendar started, which is going to be Sunday, right? How do you do these questions? 4th of June 2099 आपको निकालना है. First thing is you want to split these dates. इस date को आपने split करना है. You have to first keep in mind that 2099 is still going on. Right? This year is not finished yet. You have to find out 4th of June 2099. So first, how do you deconstruct? You write down the number of years which have completed. Right? 2098 years would have completed. Only after 2098 years, the next date will be 1st of Jan 2099. जब 2098 साल कंप्लीट हो जाएंगे, नेक्स्ट डेट क्या आने वाली है? 1st of Jan 2099 till where do you have to go till 4th of June 2099, right? First you split this date. Next thing is you split these years also, the years which have completed. Don't do it 3000 minus, right? You have to only talk about years which have completed, right? How do you then split it? You split it like the number of years 2000 plus 98 plus. You can start solving for this already, right? Why am I writing 2000 plus 98? Because I have a code, right? There are codes for this, right? The code is, if you know this already, 100, 200, 300, 400. Code is 5, 3, 1 and 0. The calendar repeats itself after every 400 years. That means keep adding 400, right? Year 500 के लिए भी code 5 होगा. 500 plus 400 which is 900 के लिए भी code 5 होगा, right? Similarly 200 के लिए अगर 3 है, then 200 plus 400 which is going to be 600 उसके लिए भी 3 होगा, right? This is how you solve it. Since 2000 is a multiple of 400, 2000 के लिए भी code होगा 0 ही, right? This will come here. 400 plus 400 will be 800, 800 plus 400 will be 1200, 1200 plus 400 will be 1600 and 1600 plus 400 will be 2000. इसके लिए code is 0. We already know the code for 2000. 2000 के लिए code is 0, right? 98 you will have to take care of. But first solve this. 1st of January 2099. How many days in the month of January? 31 days, right? 31. February of 2099, you have to check first कि 2099 is a leap year or not. It's not a leap year. Why? It's a normal year. पहली बात तो it's not a century year. So you have to check divisibility by 4. 2099 is not divisible by 4. Therefore, it is not a leap year. Since it is not a leap year, the number of days in the month of February will be 28. Month of March is 31. April is 30. May is 31. And June, May, you have to go till the 4th of June. Right? You will have to take 4 days. Mind you, 31 here is important. Why? Ordinarily, when you solve for this, where they grant you a reference date, in which case you take one of these. You take either the reference or the target date. Right? Will not include, if they have granted you a reference date, you will include either the reference or the target one. Here, उसने reference date दी नहीं है. सीधे बोल दिया 4th of June निकालने के लिए. So our reference date will be day 0. Day 0 was a Sunday. Right? Hence, in the month of January, you'll have to take all 31. Right? Now, 2000 के लिए code is 0. Amongst these 98 years, how many leap years and how many non-leap years? 98 has to be divided by 4. You'll get 4 times 24 plus 2. Sets of 4 are 24. That means amongst these 98 years, there are 24 leap years. Right? इसमें 24 leap years होंगे. If amongst 98 years, you have 24 leap years, how many non-leap years? You will have the remaining ones will be non-leap, which is going to be 98 minus 24. That is 74. 74 non-leap years. Right? Remember 2000 तक हम include कर चुके हैं. Right? 2000 के आगे हम जा रहे हैं 98 years. So the first leap year will be 2004, 2008, 2012, 16, 20. ऐसे करके हम जा रहे हैं. The last leap year in this set will be 2096. Right? Now you are in the month of January. Straight up find out what is the number of odd days. Simply divide it all by 7. You will have 31 divided by 7, remainder will be 3. 28 divided by 7, remainder will be 0. 31 divided by 7, remainder is 3. 30 divided by 7 is 2. 3. 4 divided by 7, remainder will be 4. Right? Now, 0 का code तो हमारे पास है ही. Each leap year has how many odd days? In a leap year, there are 366 days. 366 divided by 7, you will get 2 as the remainder. So every leap year has 2 odd days. That means in 24 leap years, you will have 48 odd days. Each non-leap year has 1 odd day. 365 divided by 7, remainder is 1. That means 74 non-leap years will have 74 odd days. You add this is 3 plus 3 is 6, 8, 11, 15. 15 divided by 7, once again the remainder will be 1. Right? You will have to keep dividing by 7 so long as you get a figure which is greater than equal to 7. अगर 7 या 7 से बड़ा आ रहा है तो further divide by 7. Right? Now 48 plus 74 is how much? 122. Right? 122 plus 1, or you can say 122 divided by 7. Remainder in this case will be 3. 3 plus 1. Right? 52, yeah. 3 plus 1 is 4. Right? That means 4 is the number of odd days. Right? What do you add 4 to? In these questions where they do not give you any reference date, the reference date is day 0, and day 0 was Sunday. Right? Gregorian calendar started from a Monday. Right? Day 1 is not taken as a reference. Day 0 is. Day 0 is a Sunday. You add Sunday plus 4. Sunday plus 4 gives you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That means the 4th of June is a Thursday. If the 4th of June 2099 is a Thursday, 5th will be Friday, 6th will be Saturday, and 7th will be Sunday. Answer has to be 7th of June. Right? He's asked you, which of these is a Sunday? Answer has to be 7th, which is D. Get it? Next question. If the order of the letters in the English alphabet is reversed and each letter represents the letter whose position it occupies, which of the following represents Lucknow? Right? What he's saying is there is a word. Word is Lucknow. He's saying each letter has to be replaced by its reverse pair. Right? Then tell me what the word will be. Right? It's a very, very simple question to solve. Right? You just need to know ki every alphabet ka which one will be its reverse pair. How do we do this? It's very simple. There is this code that you have to remember. EJOTY. E is the 5th, J is the 10th, O is the 15th, T is the 20th, and Y is the 25th alphabet in the normal series. Right? For you to find out which one will be its reverse pair, you only have to subtract the normal place in the series from 27. Right? For E, what will be the reverse pair? Or similarly, firstly, इसके लिए निकाल लो इनकी position क्या होगी? L will be J, K and L. J is 10, K will be 11, and L will be 12. L का normal place in the alphabet series is 12. O का normal place in the alphabet series is 15. C का normal place is 3. K is J and K. K should be 11. N will be M, N and O. O is 15. N will be 14. O is 15. Sorry, U can लिख दिया इसको. STU, U will be 21st. Right? T and U, T will be 20th and U will be 21st. Right? And W, X and Y. Yes, X will be 24, W will be 23. This is the normal place in the alphabet series. Reverse pairs निकालने के लिए आपको what you have to do is 27 में से minus कर देना होता है. Right? 27 minus 12 will be 15. 27 minus 21 will be 6. This is the normal pair. Reverse pair निकालने के लिए only have to subtract it from 27. 27 minus 3 is 24. 27 minus 11 is 16. 27 minus 14 is 13. 27 minus 15 is 12. And 27 minus 23 is 4. Right? Now, which one is the 15th alphabet in the alphabet series? 15th is O. So the word has to start from O. Every word starts from O. Right? Next thing you want to do is last ka dekh lo. W is 4. Right? 4 will be A, B, C and D. Last one has to be D. That means ये और ये तो नहीं हो सकता, either between this and this, right? Now between this and this, check, right? Second alphabet ही different है, right? It's OG and this is O and F, right? Solve for the second one. Second is U. U corresponds to the sixth one. Sixth is A, B, C, D, E, and F. So the second one has to be F. Answer has to be D. This is E, G. G तो नहीं है, F होना चाहिए, right? You don't even have to solve it completely. Get it? Basic. All right. Consider the question, the statements given below. Question is Z the brother of X? And there are two statements granted. Right? He's asking you whether statement 1 alone is sufficient to answer the question, statement 2 alone is sufficient to answer the question, both statement 1 and 2 are required, or statement 1 and 2 together even cannot solve this question. Question क्या पूछा आपसे? Is Z the brother of X? It's a blood relations based question. First statement says X is a brother of Y. If X is a brother of Y, that means X is a male. Y can be the sister, Y can even be the brother, right? We are not sure. Second, he says is Y is a brother of Z. X is a brother of Y. Y is a brother of Z. That means Y is also a male. Question was, is Z the brother of X? क्या Z X का brother है? X surely is a brother of Z. That we know. Z could be the brother. Z could be the sister even. We are not sure. Why? Because we don't know the gender. Right? So statement 1 alone is sufficient to answer the question? No. Next statement is X, Y and Z are siblings. That means X and Y and Z are siblings. Right? Does this solve the question for you? Whether Z is the brother of X? You don't know. Statement 2 alone does not tell you anything about the genders. Right? So you cannot say that Z is the brother of X. Is statement 2 alone sufficient? No. Can you combine these two statements and then say what is the relation of Z to X? In fact, you only required the first statement, second तो चाहिए की जरूरत भी नहीं थी, right? But even if you combine these two, you still would not know what is the gender of Z, right? Since you do not know what the gender of Z is, only thing you know is Z is a sibling of X. Z could be the brother, Z could be the sister also, right? So both of these statements are not sufficient to answer the question. If he had asked you if X is the brother of Z, then statement 1 alone is sufficient, right? Why? Because you know the gender of X. X का gender आपको पता है. X and Z are related, they are siblings, and X is a male. X has to be the brother of Z. Z का gender you don't know, right? Z could be a male, Z could be a female. You can't say whether Z is the brother or the sister. Get it? How long does it take for you to do this? Nothing, right? Question number 27. A, B and C are 3 places such that there are 3 different roads from A to B, 4 different roads from B to C, and 3 different roads from A to C. In how many different ways can one travel from A to C using these roads? This is the basic most question on permutations that you will ever get, right? There are 3 places. These places are A, B and C. He says there are 3 different roads from A to B. If you have to go from A to B, there are 3 roads. Road 1, Road 2, Road 3. There are 4 different roads from B to C. That means 1, Road 2, Road 3 and Road 4. And then there are 3 different roads from A to C. 3 different roads from A to C. That means directly भी आप A से C जा सकते हैं. 3 roads है. A से C, something like this. He's then asking you how many different ways can one travel from A to C using these roads? 3 ways तो यही है directly A से C जाने के लिए, right? Now if you have to go A to C through B, right? What will be the number? For each road, right? If you go from A to B from road 1, for each road you will have 4 other possibilities to go from B to C, right? Road 1 के लिए भी 4 possibilities हैं, road 2 के लिए भी 4 possibilities हैं, and road 3 के लिए भी 4 possibilities हैं. That means from A to B you can go in 3 ways, and from B to C, for each of these 3 ways there are 4 further combinations wherein you can go from B to C. That means 12 different ways from going from A to C via B. And then there are 3 more ways to go from A to C directly. This will be 12 plus 3, which is going to be 15. Do we have a 15? Answer should be 15. Get it? Right? This is how when they start permutations, right? This is the kind of stuff that they ask you, right? Shuru mein ki how do you understand permutations, right? Most basic. All right. Right? A has some coins. He gives half of the coins and 2 more to B. B gives half and 2 more to C. C gives half of the coins and 2 more to D. The number of coins D has now is the smallest 2-digit number. What is the smallest two-digit number? It is 10. Right? That's where 2-digit numbers begin from. The smallest one is 10. Right? D has 10. How many coins does A have in the beginning? Right? Assume that A has X coins. If A has X coins, how much does A give to B? A gives half and 2 more, right? Which is to say, B will have how much? Half of what A had plus 2 more, right? How much does B give to C? Half and 2 more. That means, however, B, जितने भी B के पास थे, उसका आधा plus 2 more. B के पास थे इतने, then C is going to get how much? He's going to get X by 2 plus 2 divided by 2 plus 2 more, right? जितने B के पास थे उसका आधा किया प्लस 2 और दे दिए, right? This is going to be how much? You can write it as x by 4 plus 1 plus 2, or you can write down x by 4 plus 3, right? This is what C is going to get. How much did C give away to D? Half of what C has plus 2 more. That means D is going to get how much? X by 4 plus 3 divided by 2 plus 2, right? This is what D is going to get. D is going to get how much? X by 8 plus 3 by 2 plus 2, right? This is what D has, right? And D के लिए इसने क्या बोला है? D now has the number of coins which is the smallest 2-digit number. That means this is how much? It is 10. X by 8 plus 3 by 2 plus 2. X by 8 plus 3 by 2 plus 2 is 10. Or you can write down x by 8 should be 8 minus 3 by 2. X by 8 should be 16 minus 3 by 2. X by 8 should be 13 by 2. Or x should be 13 by 2 times 8 should be 52. X was the number of coins that A had in the beginning. The question is, how many coins does A have in the beginning? A has 52 coins, right? Does it take a lot for you to solve? And assume A has X. A is going to give X by 2 plus 2 more to who? To B. Similarly, B, जितने भी B के पास coins होंगे, he is going to half them and then add 2 more and give it to C. Whatever coins C has, C is going to half them and add 2 more and give it to D. And he has also told you D के पास कितने coins हैं, right? So you have to go backwards. Easy? Let's do the next one. All right, this is a similar question, right? जो पिछली बारी पूछा था 2023 में, which is Z, Z, X, X, X ऐसे करके, similar question. The question is, in the series AA, BAB, CABC, DABCD, right? Which letter appears in the 100th place? First, you have to find out what the pattern here is. Pattern क्या है, right? He starts with A, then he says AB, then you have an ABC, then you have ABCD, then you have ABCDE, right? ऐसा कुछ pattern है, दिख रहा है? A is the first alphabet, A and B are the first 2, A, B and C are the first 3, A, B, C, D are the first 4, A, B, C, D, E are the first 5. Next क्या होना चाहिए था? A से A, B, C, D, E and F. First 6. And इस तरीके से चलता जाएगा. And he is asking you to find out which is the 100th place. What does it look like to you? It is an arithmetic progression with a common difference of 1. He is asking you to find out the 100th place. Right? Last term आपको बतानी है. 100th place आपको निकालना होगा तो कैसे पता चलेगा? You just have to use the sum of an AP. Right? Sum of an AP. यहाँ you don't know what the last term is. You have to find out what the last term is. Right? Sum of an AP is n by 2. When you don't know the last term, it's going to be n by 2, 2a plus n minus 1 into d. Where n is the number of terms, d is the common difference, and a is the first term. Right? First term in that AP was 1. Then the second was 2, then 3, then 4. Right? You have to come down to a 100th place. That means sum should be somewhere around 100. वैसा कुछ होना चाहिए. You will have to do a certain directed hidden trial here. Right? if you take the sum of first 10 such digits, right? First 10 को अगर आप लेते हो s of 10, that will be 10 by 2, 2a. A is the first term was 1, plus n is 10, 10 minus 1 into d, common difference is also 1, right? Sum of the first 10 digits is 5. This is going to be 2 plus 9, 11. This is going to be 55. Sum of the first 10 digits is 55. 55 is too far off from the 100th place, right? One way of getting about it is also looking at the options. Right? Options तो देखो, options में biggest alphabet कौन सा दिया हुआ है? Right? In terms of place in the series, it is J, G H I J. J is the 10th, right? So you have to imagine कि कहाँ तक ये आ सकता है, right? 10 आपने करके देख लिया. Let us try to do it for 12 or 13 odd, right? 12 का देख लेते हैं, 13 का देख लेते हैं, 14 भी देख सकते हैं, जो भी आप सोचना चाहो. If you s of 12, n by 2, 2 into a plus n minus 1 into d, d is 1. This is going to be 6 times 2 plus 11, 13, 6 times 13, which is 78. Still very far from the 100th, right? Try to do it for the 14th. S of 14 करके देखो. 14 by 2, 2 into a plus n minus 1, which is 14 minus 1 into common difference, which is 1. It's going to be 7 into 3 plus 13, 7 into 16, which is going to be 112, right? So 112 आगे हो गया, right? You cannot have 112 either. You have to go एक step पीछे. It has to be 13, right? Which is say if you take the sum of first 13, this is going to be 13 divided by 2, 2 into a plus n minus 1. 13 minus 1 into common difference is 1. It's going to be 13 divided by 2, 2 plus 14. It's going to be 13 divided by 2 times 16, 8, 104. Oh, sorry. 13 minus 1 is 12. This is 14, 7. This is going to be 91, right? Which is say that the 13th sequence is 91, right? There are sets. Sets कैसे बन रहे थे? You had a set of A, then AB, then ABC, then ABCD, then ABCDE. ऐसे हो रहा था, right? First set was only first. Second set was the first two, right? First two के बाद third set was first three. Fourth set was first four. This was first five, right? 13th set के बाद 91 तुम्हारे पास terms आ गई होंगी. 13th set would be, by that time you will have 91 terms already. 14th set is going to start from the A once again, right? जब 13th set complete हो जाएगा, then you have to go from the 14th set, which is say 91 पे एक set complete हो जाता है, right? Then 92 will be A once again. If 92 is A, 100th कौन सा होगा, right? 100 minus 91 कर लो, which is 9. 9th alphabet. 9th alphabet कौन सा होता है? I. Answer should be I. Or if you want to do it, 92 is A, 93 is B, 94 is C, कर दो. अगर आपको बहुत sure ही होना है, right? You will still come down to the same thing, right? Remember this 13th set ends in the 91st alphabet or 91st term. You have to find out the 100th one, right? 91 पे एक set complete हो जाता है. 92 पे नया set वापस चालू होगा. नया set चालू कहाँ से होगा? Once again A से, right? And नया set कितने का होगा? It will be of 14. Right, so it will include the 9th one itself, right? 100th will be I. Right, this is one question that you may find challenging if you don't know APs. Any question? Right? You just have to first understand what the pattern here is. Pattern is first is A, then AB, then ABC, then ABCD, then ABCDE, right? Each term is, it becomes an AP of sorts, right? Everything is a set of alphabets, right? जितना भी नीचे number है, उतने ही alphabets ऊपर होंगे, and then it will repeat once again, right? You have to find out the 100th one. 100th one निकालने के लिए hit and trial आपको करना पड़ेगा कि कितने sets पे, कितने numbers पे वो set complete हो जाता है, right? 91 पे you know कि 13 set complete हो जाएगा. Then 92nd पे एक और set चालू होगा 14th का. Because it's a set, the 14th set, it will have 14 alphabets in it, which is A से लेकर 14वें alphabet तक आपको जाना होगा. Right, he's asking you the 100th one. So 92nd वाला जो set होगा, it is going to go till 106. So 100 उसके बीच में कहीं आएगा. Since 92 is A, you have to find out which one will be the 100th. 100th has to be I. Right? Answer is I. राइट. सेम क्वेश्चन पूछा इन्होंने 2022 में, सिमिलर क्वेश्चन पूछा इन्होंने 2023 में. राइट. So if somebody had looked at previous year's question papers, right, at least the person will be acquainted with APs. Next, one question that I will assume up until now is challenging. चलो ये question challenging हो सकता है for some people, although होना नहीं चाहिए if you are reasonably prepared. Next is, three persons A, B and C are standing in a queue, not necessarily in the same order. There are 4 persons between A and B, 7 persons between B and C, 11, if there are 11 persons ahead of C and 13 behind A, what could be the minimum number of persons in the queue? Now remember, this is not a very simple question. A lot of kids have gotten this wrong, right? Why? Because he's first said 3 persons A, B and C are standing in a queue, not necessarily in the same order, right? So it's not like A, B, C है और सीधे करा दिया. बहुत सारे लोगों ने A, B, C मान के सीधे जोड़ दिया इसको और बताया, वो फिर मिनिमम नंबर क्यों पूछेगा तुमसे, right? This is something you have to understand, right? Now, what is it? Some conditions are granted. The condition is that there are 4 persons between A and B. Right? A and B के बीच में 4 लोग हैं. He does not say कि A पहले आता और B बाद में. It could even be B and A, something like this. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि B पहले आए और A बाद में. पहले ही बोला, it's not necessarily in the same order. Second thing he says is there are 7 persons between B and C. That means if B comes first, 7 persons between B and C, and then you have C. Or C can come first and 7 persons between C and B, B comes later. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, right? First you will have to find out कितनी permutations बनती हैं, right? How do you find out how many permutations? There are 3 people, कोई restriction नहीं लगा के रखी. Each spot can be occupied by 3 people. That means there are 3 factorial permutations which are possible. Right? Which ones? 3 factorial कितना होता है? 6, right? 1 into 2 into 3, it will be 6, right? What are the various permutations? You will have a permutation A, B and C, ऐसा हो सकता है in the queue. A begins, right? Then B, then C, ऐसा हो सकता है. You can have an A in the beginning, C and B, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. You may have a B to begin with, and then A and then C. You may have a B to begin with, then C and then an A. You may have a C to begin with, then A and then B. You can have a C to begin with and then B and then A. These are the various permutations which are possible. ये इसने पहले ही बोल दिया कि they are not necessarily in the same order, right? So there are 6 permutations which are possible. Next thing is to apply this condition. Condition is there are 4 persons between A and B and 7 between B and C. In the first case, there are 4 persons between A and B and 7 between C and B. This is possible, right? A and B के बीच में 4 लोग हैं, B and C के बीच में 7 लोग हैं. Possible? Second में A and B के बीच में there are 4 people, but B and C के बीच में there are 7 people. Is this possible? If this is the order, and between A and B there are 4 people, how can be between B and C there could be 7 people? That means ये तो condition है ही नहीं, ये permutation possible नहीं है. Now between B and A there are 4 people, between B and C there are 7 people. Possible? Quite possible. Between B and C there are 7 people, and between B and A there are 4 people. Is it possible? Not possible. Between A and C, how many people? Between A and C तो बताया नहीं. Between A and B there are 4. Between B and C there are 7. Is it possible? It is possible. Between A and B there are 4. Between B and C there are 7. So it is possible. There are 4 permutations which are possible. You have to solve for each of these 4 permutations and then find out which is the minimum number. Right? सारी permutation के लिए solve करना पड़ता है इसको. Right? Now for the first permutation, which is A, then 4 people, then B, then 7 people, and then C. Now he says there are 11 persons ahead of C, 13 behind A. Ahead का मतलब क्या है? Ahead means before, and behind मतलब after, right? There are 11 persons ahead of C. That means C से पहले 11 लोग हैं, right? Now C से पहले अभी यहाँ पर देख लो कितने लोग आ चुके हैं? 7 तो हैं ही. Then B also occupies 1 spot. So 7 plus 1 is 8, and 8 plus 4 is 12. Then A occupies 1 spot. That is अभी already C से पहले 13 लोग हैं. Can there be 11 people ahead of C? That means ये permutation भी नहीं चलेगी, right? Come down to this permutation, which is B, then 4 people, then A, then 7 people. Sorry, not 7 people like this. Oh, can I clean it? Sorry, right? Then C, between A and C, C and B, there are 7 people. दैट मीन्स बिटवीन सी एंड ए कितने लोग होंगे? 3. A occupies one specific spot. A is a person, right? I'm asking between C and A कितने होंगे? Between C and B there are 7 people in total. C occupies one spot, B occupies another spot. Between C and B there are 7 people, जिसमें से A एक है, right? A is 1 and then you have 4 more, which is say 4 plus A, 5 people already. That means between A and C there are 2. दो ही लोग हैं between A and C. Between बोला हुआ है, get it? Right? Now between C and A there are 2, between A and B there are 4. Next condition he says is C से पहले there are how many people ahead of C? 11 persons ahead of C. Right? Now C has 2 plus 1 3 plus 4 7. Then this is 8. B will be 8 and then 3 more. यहाँ पर 3 लोग हुए और होंगे तभी तो C से पहले 11 लोग आ गए. Next he says is there are 13 persons behind A. Now A occupies one spot, right? Then 13 persons behind A का मतलब क्या? दो तो between A and C ही हैं. 2 plus C occupies one more spot which is 3. That means C के आगे कितने लोग होंगे? 10 लोग, right? So total लोग कितने होंगे इस क्यू में? You will have a 3 plus B occupies one spot plus between B and A there are 4 people. Then A occupies one spot. Then between A and C you have 2 people. And then C occupies one spot. And then you have 10 more. This is the total number of persons in the queue. 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 9, 11, 12 and 22. If you take this combination, which is this one, you have 22 people in the queue. Get it? ये समझ में आ रहा है? Right? Now look for this combination. He's asked you which is the minimum number. He could have asked you what is the maximum number also. ये भी पूछ सकता था. Right? Now solve for this combination which is CAB. CAB के लिए, can I do it here पीछे? C, A and B. Just a moment. C, A and B. C, A and B. Now between B and A, how many people were there? 4 people. Between B and C, there were 7 people. Right? That means between A and C, how many people? 2. Right? Remember, B occupies one spot, A occupies one spot, and C occupies one spot. He says between B and C, there are 7 people. In 7 में ये 4 लोग हुए and A एक हो गया तो 5. That means between A and C, there are 2 people. Then he tells you how many people ahead of C. C से पहले कितने? There are 11 people ahead of C. That means C से पहले हैं 11. How many people behind A? There are 13 people behind A, I think. There are 13 people behind A. That means A के आगे 13 लोग और हैं. 13 में से 4 तो हो गए ये, एक हो गया B. That means B के आगे कितने लोग होंगे? 8 और. Why? Because A के आगे total हैं 13. Right? जिसमें एक आगे ये 4. Then you have B, which is 5th, and then 8 more. How many people in total? This will be 8 plus B का अपना एक spot, which is 1, plus 4 people between B and A, plus A का अपना एक spot, plus 2 people between A and C, plus C का एक spot, and then you have 11 more, which is going to be 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 plus 4 is 13, 13 plus 1 is 14, 16, 17, and 28. The previous one was 22, this one is 28. What was the last combination? जो एक बचा हुआ था? CBA. Right, solve for CBA also. One more combination which is possible, which is C, B, and A. Between A and B, how many people? 4. Between C and B, there are 7. Right? How many people ahead of C? 11 people ahead of C. How many people behind A? 13 people behind A. The number here would be 13 plus A का अपना एक spot, plus 4 people between A and B, plus B का अपना एक spot, plus 7 people between B and C, C का अपना एक spot, and then 11 more. This is way more. 11 plus 1 is 12, 19, 20, 24, 25, and 38. So you have 3 possibilities. 38, you have 28, and then you have 22. The minimum number is 22. This is one question जो normally लोगों को challenge करता है. Answer has to be 22. Get it? What people do is they do not look at the first line. The first line says A, B and C. सीधे लगाए A और B के बीच में 4 लोग, B और C के बीच में 7 लोग and जोड़ दिए. तो फिर वो minimum क्यों पूछेगा तुमसे? Get it? Right? You have to first find out how many permutations are possible. For each permutation, find out the number of, you can say, persons in the queue. Then unme se minimum kaun sa hai. Because the question could even be which is the maximum number possible. Maximum number would be 38. Get it? Now this is one question that surprisingly a lot of people got wrong. Right? How many days in total are there in X weeks, X days, X hours, X minutes, and X seconds? Right? How many seconds in total? In 1 week, how many seconds? 24 hours, 7 days. That is 1 week. And each hour has 3600 seconds. Therefore, in X weeks, you will have the same figure, which is 3600 times 24 times 7 times X. This is the number of seconds in X weeks. 1 day has how many hours? 24 hours. Each hour has how many seconds? 3600 seconds. X days will have how much? 24 into 3600 into X. 1 hour has how many seconds? 3600 seconds. X hours will have how many seconds? 3600 X seconds. 1 second or 1 minute has how many seconds? 60 seconds. X minutes will have how many? 60X seconds. And then X seconds also. So you have to keep adding these numbers, right? You have to add X seconds as well. Now you have a figure which is very basic. You will have 24 times 7 times 3600 X plus you will have 1 day which will be 24 times 3600 times X plus you will have 1 hour which is 3600 X plus you will have X minutes which is 60X and then X seconds. If you take X in common, you're going to get how much? You're going to get 24 times 7 times 3600 plus 24 times 3600 plus 3600 plus 60 plus 1. Only look at the units place. Units place पे क्या आने वाला है? 1. 1 times x, right? This is exactly what you have to solve. Units place पे कितना आएगा? 1, right? Now between this and this, these cannot be the answer. Why? Because units place is 0, right? Now answer has to be 11581 or 694861. अब 24 को 3600 से मल्टीप्लाई कर दोगे तो वो 11000 तो नहीं आएगा, बहुत ज़्यादा ही आएगा. You don't even have to solve it. Answer has to be this. Right? For some reason, people have gotten this. Right? I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. Right? You take x as common, units place में 1 आना वाला है. Now this one. Blood relations. P, Q, R, S, T, and U are 6 members of a family. R is the spouse of Q. R is the spouse of Q का मतलब क्या है? That R and Q are married to each other. And spouse is not a gendered relation. You don't know who's the husband, who's the wife. Next is U is the mother of T. Since U is the mother of T, that means U is a female. S is the daughter of U. S being the daughter of U, U is the mother of T. S is the daughter of U. That means T and S are siblings. And S is the daughter, would mean S is a female. P is T's daughter. Sorry, P's daughter is T. Now P's daughter is T. That means T was U's child. P's daughter is T, matlab P is also T's child. Sorry, T is also P's child. That means P and U are married to each other. Why? Because P's daughter is T. P की बेटी T है. And यहाँ पर क्या बोला था? U is T's mother. If U is T's mother, P's daughter is T. That means firstly, T तो एक female है. And P and U are married to each other. Since U was a mother, so U was a female, P automatically becomes a male. P becomes a husband. All right. R's son is P. Now R's son is P, matlab, if I could bring it here, R's son is P. Something like this. Right? इसी को उठा के यहाँ पर ले जाओ. R का son is P. There are 2 couples in the family. Of course, there are 2 couples, P and U and R and Q. Which one of the following is correct? First is Q is the grandfather of T. Now Q ka gender you don't know. R and Q have been told to be spouses of each other. You don't know which one is the husband, which one is the wife. Right? So Q is the grandfather, we can't say. Right? अगर grandparent बोलता तो समझ में आता. Q is the grandmother of T. Once again, same problem. You don't know the gender. R is the mother of P. Once again, same problem. You don't know the gender of R. T is the granddaughter of Q. Clearly, T is the granddaughter of Q. Right? T because you know the gender. Answer has to be D. For some reason, they have marked its answer. CSAT के official key में इसका answer is X crossed. This question has been cancelled for some reason. I don't know why, but they have. Next one is, consider the following questions, right? How far is city P from Q? There are two statements and you have to find out, right, कि कितना P से Q दूरी पे. First one says city Q is 18 kilometers from R. This is Q, this is R. Between Q and R, there is 18 kilometers. P is 43 from R. Now see, P is 43 from R. Now, he's not telling you in which direction, right? The question is, how far is city P from Q, right? Now, P could be here, P could be here, P could be here, P could be here, P could be anywhere, right? Now, between P and Q, you cannot say anything, right? So, clearly, city Q is 18 from R, P is 43 from R. It does not tell you anything as to how far is city P from Q, because he has not mentioned any directions. Directions usne mention hi nahi kare. Right? It could be northeast, northwest. There are infinite possibilities in terms of what direction it could be, right? Resulting in, it could be a straight line, it could even be a triangle, it could be anything, right? So you don't know what the distance would be. Answer is both statement 1 and 2 are not sufficient. देख के ये question solve हो जाता है. Right? Next is, this is a question based on syllogism. Now, these are normally easy questions. Every time they ask you syllogism in CSAT, very, very easy. The first statement says, all pens are books. Sare ke sare pens are books. How do you write this statement? If this is a set of pens, all pens are books. Second statement says, no chair is a pen. No chair is a pen. If this is a set of chair, between chairs and pen, there is a negative relationship. Now start labeling it 1, 2 and 3. Remember, no chair is a pen. That means between chair and pen, there is a negative relationship. And chair is set 3, pen is 2. These are the two statements granted. Now he is asking you to find out the conclusions. First conclusion he asks you is, all chairs are books. Right? First is, all chairs are books. Can you check whether all chairs are books, right? How do you read this? All elements of chairs should be common to books. Chairs is with set, chairs is 3. Books is with set, books is the bigger circle, 1 and 2, right? Are all chairs books? Right now they are not, they're not even intersecting, right? Can all chairs be books? Can they be books? Is there any negative relationship between chair and books? There is none. There is a negative relationship between chairs and pens, right? Chairs, pens के साथ intersect नहीं कर सकता. There is nothing stopping chairs from coming here. ऐसे भी बन सकता था, right? Right now they are not intersecting, but they can. So the answer to this should be that it is may or may not be true, right? It is not conclusively true. It could be true, right? It could not be true either. Next conclusion that it says is, conclusion 2 is, some chairs are pens. Some chairs are pens. Now, can some chairs be pens? There is a negative relationship between chairs and pens, right? Chair cannot intersect with pens at all. So, this is a false statement. This is a false statement. Next is, all books are chairs. All books are chairs. Can all books be chairs? Why? Because there is a part of books which is pens, right, which cannot intersect with chairs. So all books are chairs is also a false statement. Next is, last statement he says is, no chair is a book. Now no chair is a book. That means no chair can ever intersect with a book. It can intersect with books also. In fact, हमने तो first में all chairs are books is also a possibility. It's a may or may not be true statement. Once again, no chair is a book is also a may or may not be true statement. Right now it's not intersecting, but it can also intersect. Right? Any one of these are conclusively true? None. Answer should be D. Answer to this one will be none of the conclusions follows, which is D. Next is some doctors are chairs. इसको हम यहीं पर solve कर लें. बार-बार वहाँ पर time लगता है. Right? Is this a difficult question? Some doctors are chairs. Sorry, teachers. Some doctors are teachers. All teachers are engineers. All engineers are scientists. Right? These are the three statements. Label them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Conclusion 1 says some scientists are doctors. Scientists kaun sa circle hai? This one. It has 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some scientists, which is 2, 3, 4, and 5, are doctors. Doctors is this circle, which is 1 and 2. Are some elements common? So this is a true statement. Some scientists are doctors. Right? Next is all engineers are doctors. Engineers is this middle circle, 2, 3, and 4. Doctors is which circle? This circle, 1 and 2. Are all elements of engineers common to doctors? They are not. Is there any negative relationship between doctors and engineers? There is none. So that means this is a may or may not be true statement. Some engineers are doctors. Now engineers is once again 2, 3, and 4. And doctors is 1 and 2. Some elements are common. It's a true statement. Therefore, conclusion 1 and conclusion 3 follows. C. Difficult? Okay. And I'm bored. All right. Now this is a question, right, that you have to leave. ये type की question नहीं करना होता है. Right? 8 students A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H sit around a circular table. Right? They sit around a circular table, something like this. There are 8 students facing the center. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Right? Not necessarily the same order. B and D sit neither adjacent to C nor opposite to C. So B and D, they are sitting neither adjacent to C. B and D are also not sitting opposite to C. These are the two conditions granted. Right? Neither adjacent, no. A sits between E and D. That means E and then A, D, or D, then A, then E. This is another condition. F sits between B and H. That means B, then F, then H, or H, then F, then B. Which of these is definitely correct? Right? You have to now start placing them. Right? Where do you want to begin from? You want to begin from a statement jahan at least you know a definite position. Here you do not know the definite position in any of these conditions. You can start anywhere. Possibly start with this, let's say, or this. Right? F sits between B and H. Now, if this is F, this could be B and this could be H. Conversely, this could even be something like F, this could be H and this could be B. ऐसा हो सकता है? Right? You have used this condition, placed B, H, and F. Next is E, A, and D. Right? Now, ordinarily, in which आपने place किया है, find out any other relations. One relation granted is B is not opposite to C, B is also not adjacent to C. That means C cannot go here, C also cannot go here. C cannot go here, C also cannot go here. Right? That means C कहाँ जा सकता है? Either this way, or this way. Similarly, in this case, C can go here, here, or even here for that matter. Right? Next thing you have to be careful of is this. Right? A sits between E and D. That means all of these three move together. Right? ये हमेशा साथ ही चलेंगे. It could be E and D or it could be D, A and E also. Right? Since C cannot sit in any of these places, E, A and D could be here. E, A and D could be here also. E, A and D could be here also. Or it could be D, A and E, D, A and E, and D, A and E. Right? There are some 12 odd possibilities which are going to emerge in the first circle. Similarly, in the second circle, if you have to place A, E, and D, there will be some 12 odd possibilities here also. right? It's a 2.5 marker, 2.5 number का question है, right? And then there are 12 possibilities to solve for it, right? And then he's asking you which of these is definitely correct. कोई भी इनमें से definitely correct होना ही नहीं वाला, right? These are 12 possibilities. Would you want to solve it in the exam? The only condition you now have to place is this E, A and D, or even D, A and E. और तो कुछ नहीं, right? बाकी तो आपने place कर दिया हुआ है, right? Start with C here, right? And then try to see 3 आपको seats कहाँ मिल रही हैं, right? Place E, A and D, then E, A and D. There are so many possibilities which are going to emerge here. Straight up leave this question. In fact, if you are logical enough, you would automatically know कि definitely correct तो हो ही नहीं सकता इनमें से कोई सा भी, right? Because there are some 12 odd possibilities which will emerge, right? Answer has to be D. If you want to, you can solve it at home, right? It's going to take a lot of time, right? And then we will end up with some 3-4 odd solutions to this one, आराम से, right? Would you want to solve it in the exam hall? Not at all, right? 2.5 number है. Move to the next one. Okay, this is basic. Z purchased, there are 5 friends, P, Q, X, Y and Z, and they purchased some notebooks. Z purchased 8 notebooks more than X did. That means Z is X plus 8. P and Q together purchased 21 notebooks. That means P plus Q is 21. Q purchased 5 notebooks, then P did. That means Q is equal to P minus 5. X and Y together purchased 28 notebooks. X plus Y is 28. P purchased 5 notebooks more than X did. P is equal to X plus 5. Now look at these two, right? P plus Q is 21. Q is P minus 5. Can you put Q back into this equation? You will have something like P plus P minus 5 equal to 21, or 2P is equal to 26, or P equals 13. If P is 13, how much will Q be? Q is 13 minus 5. Q will then be 8. You have P is 13, Q is 8. Now P is equal to X plus 5, or X will be P minus 5, right? P is 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. That means X is also 8. Now Z is equal to X plus 8. If X is 8, Z will be 8 plus 8, which will be 16. Whereas Y, do we have a Y? X plus Y is 28. If X is 8, Y will be 20. Right? He's saying if each notebook is priced at 40, then what is the total cost of all the notebooks? You add them all up. 13 plus 8 is 21, 29, 45, and then 65. They have purchased in total 65 notebooks. Each notebook is 40 rupees. This would be 260. They have spent a total of 200 rupees. Answer is A. Easy. Basic. Let's do the next one. This is something that a man started from home at 14:30 hours and drove to a village, arriving there when the village clock indicated 15:15 hours. After staying for 25 minutes, he drove back by a different route of length 1.25 times the first route at a rate twice as fast, reaching home at 1600 hours. As compared to the clock at home, the village clock is. What has happened is the person started from his home, the person went to the village and back from the village to home. This is what happened, right? He started from home at 14:30 hours, which is to say he started from home at 2:30 p.m. He drove to a village, arriving there when the village clock indicated 3:15 p.m. Right? Village clock indicated 3:15 p.m. Remember, this is from the home clock, this is from the village clock. Right? Village clock, when he arrives at the village clock is showing him 3:15 p.m. Now he takes a break of 25 minutes. He stayed in between for 25 minutes and then he drove back but by a different route. Right? जिस रास्ते वो आया था उसी रास्ते वापस नहीं गया. He has taken a different route now. Right? This route is 1.25 times the first route at a rate which is at a speed twice as fast, reaching home back at 4 p.m. which is say when he arrives back home it is 4 p.m. Right? This is what has happened. He's asking you, as compared to the clock at home, the village clock is. Is it ahead? Is it slow? Right? How do you do this question? Right? Assume that between the home and the village, the distance is x. In the first route, assuming that the distance is x, the first route mein, if the distance is x and the speed is y. Right? This is the first route. First route that he took was, it was length x kilometers and the speed that he took was y kilometers per hour. In the second case, when he takes the second route, it's a different route which is 1.25 times as lengthy as the first one. That means the distance would be 1.25 times x and the rate which is twice as fast, which is to say speed will be 2 times y. Right? Understood? Now, total time taken would be how much? He started from the home at 2:30 p.m. When he came back to the home clock indicated 4 p.m. That means he has spent time outside of home how much? 1.5 hours. Right? So total time outside of home is how much? Is 4 p.m. minus 2:30 p.m. which is 1.30, or you can say 90 minutes. Now in these 90 minutes, he has taken a rest of 25 minutes. He has either been traveling, then he rested, then he traveled again. Right? How much did he rest for? 25 minutes. That means out of these 90 minutes, total rest was how much? Was 25 minutes. That means he was driving for the remaining time. Right? So total time taken to commute is how much? It's going to be 90 minus 25, which is 65 minutes. Right? 65 minutes इसने अपनी bike चलाई है. Now how are you going to find out this 65 minutes? Very simple. When he took the first route, right, the distance was x and the speed was y. This is the time taken when he drove from the home to the village. Right? When he drove back from the village to the home, he took a route which was 1.25 times x and at a speed which was 2 times the previous one. Right? In total, this is the time. Right? This is distance divided by speed, distance divided by speed. Both of these are times. When you combine these two, how many minutes are these? 65 minutes. Right? Total time taken to commute is 65 minutes. Right? He took one route, one speed from home to village, another route, another speed from village to home. So you have to find out time taken. Right? Take x by y common. You will have 1 plus 1.25 divided by 2. This should be 65. Or x by y common. This is going to be 3.25 divided by 2. This should be 65. Or x by y is equal to 65 into 2 divided by 325 into 100. 65, 520, it should be 40. Right? That means x by y is what? X by y was, x was the distance from the home to the village, y was the speed that he took from the home to the village in the first instance. That means he should have taken a total time of 40 minutes starting from home to reach the village. He started from home at what time? Started from home at 2:30 p.m. Should have reached the village in 40 minutes. That means he should have reached the village at 3:10 p.m. What time was the village clock showing when he reached? The village clock was showing 3:15 p.m. Right? That means the village clock is how much? It is 5 minutes ahead. It's 5 minutes faster. Get it? These are very, very basic questions. Once again, a question based on arrangement. There are 6 persons A, B, C, D, E and F sitting equidistant from each other around a circular table facing the center. In any questions on arrangements, first thing you want to do is you want to see कि किस direction में ये लोग face कर रहे हैं, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 6 people. Which of these are there? A, B, C, D, E and F. Now he has given you certain conditions. The question is, who is sitting to the immediate left of A? You have to find out whether statement 1 is alone sufficient, 2 is alone sufficient, or you need a combination of these two. Statement 1 says, B is sitting opposite to C and D is sitting opposite to E. Now, statement 1, if you have B is sitting opposite to C, right? Then he says D is sitting opposite to E. Now, D could be here, right? If D is sitting opposite to E, this could be E. Conversely, this could be E and this could be D. D could even be here. If this is D, then this is E. Or if this is E, then this is D, right? That means if D remains here, then E goes here, then A could be any of these two. Similarly, if D comes here, then E goes here, A could be any of these two, right? Can you find out who is sitting to the immediate left of A? अगर आप इन 4 possibilities को consider करो, can you tell which is who is sitting to the left of A? Right? You have 4 possibilities, na? Think of it this way. This is B, this is C. If this is D, then that means this is E. Then A could be anywhere here or here. ऐसा ही होगा. If this is E or this is D, same thing. A could be anywhere. Conversely, you could have a situation where this is B, this is C, not these, right? This could be D and this could be E, or this could be E and this could be D. Then that means A will be anywhere here, या तो यहाँ, right? Can you now tell who is to the immediate left of A? You cannot conclusively say who is to the immediate left of A. Is statement 1 alone sufficient to answer the question? No, it is not. Sorry, sufficient to answer the question? No. F is sitting on the immediate left of B. If you take only this statement, which is F is sitting to the immediate left of B. If B is here, immediate left of B, because they are facing inwards, would be here. F is sitting here, right? Can this tell you exactly where is A sitting? Statement 2 alone, can it tell you who is to the immediate left of A? Not at all. Is statement 2 alone sufficient to answer the question? No. Now you have to check whether a combination of these two is working out, right? So you have 3 conditions. First is B is sitting opposite to C, D is sitting opposite to E, and F is sitting to the immediate left of B. Something like this, right? So you first place, we'll make something like this. You will first place B. B is sitting opposite to E. That means if this is B, then C will be here. Now D and E are opposite to each other. Next condition is F is to the immediate left of B. If F is to the immediate left of B, F occupies this spot, right? The only thing now you can place is D and E. That means if this is D, then this is going to be E. Or if this is E, then this is going to be D. There is only one spot that remains. This spot has to then go to A, right? Now he is asking you who is sitting to the immediate left of A. Right? This is A. Because he is facing inwards, immediate left would be this spot, right? Can you tell whether it's D or E? You cannot, right? Once again, the answer here will be both are not sufficient to answer the question, right? Because you cannot conclusively say who is sitting to the immediate left of A. It's D or E, right? You have to have one answer, right? Whether it's D or E. Get it? Answer has to be D. This is once again a question based on arrangements. There are 6 lectures A, B, C, D, E and F of 1 hour duration each between 8 AM and 2 PM. Now between 8 AM and 2 PM anyways there are 6 hours only, right? And in these 6 hours there are 6 lectures each of 1 hour ka duration. So you'll have an 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, right? This is AM till PM. How many lectures? 6 lectures, A, B, C, D, E and F. The question here is asking you is which lecture is in the 3rd period. Statement 1 says F is preceded by A and followed by C. That means F से पहले A आता है and followed by C. Right? That means can you place F here? No, because F is preceded by A. That means you will have A, then F, then C. ऐसे कुछ होगा, right? Either you will have A here, F here, or C here. You may have A here, F here, C here. You may even have A here, F here, and C here. You may even have A here, F here, and C here. Right? Multiple possibilities. He is asking you which lecture is in the third period. Now, in the third period, you could have a C, you could have an F, you could have an A. You don't know. So, is statement 1 alone sufficient to answer the question? No, it is not. Statement 2 alone को check करना, there is no lecture after B. That only tells you that B is the last lecture, right? Now B is the last lecture का मतलब क्या है कि ये possibility आ ही नहीं सकती, right? But standalone, does statement 2 tell you which lecture is in the third period? Standalone तो ये नहीं बताता, right? That means statement 2 alone is not sufficient to answer the question either, right? Now combine both of these. If you combine both of these, the only thing that can be eliminated is this part, right? Why? Because in this case, C was the last lecture. What has been told is there is no lecture after B. That means B has to be the last lecture. That means B can be here, B can be here, and B can be here, right? Once again, can you tell me which is the third lecture? You cannot, right? Answer is both 1 and 2 are not sufficient to answer the question. Get it? Easy? Okay. Now straight up question number 68. Now there are only 2 odd questions remaining. This is a very simple question. This is a question on clocks. He says between 3:16 and 3:17 p.m. both the hour hand and the minute hand coincide with each other. Right? This is a question where they have granted to you a time range. They have also given to you an angle. Angle is 0 degrees because hour hand and minute hand have to coincide, and they have to find out the exact time. How do you do these questions? Very basic approach. First, you have to find out the rough time, right? Now, the time range which has been granted to you is how much? Time range is 3:16 p.m. to 3:17 p.m. That means time कुछ भी होगा 3 बज के something ही होगा. It has to be 3 something, right? So you draw a clock, you place the hour hand at 3, right? Whatever the time be, it will be between 3:16 and 3:17. That means the hour hand has to be over 3 only, right? 3 बज के something ही हो रहा है. Next thing is you use the angle. Angle is 0 degrees. Why? Because he is asking you both the hour hand and the minute hand have to coincide, right? They have to be one over the other. That means the angle is 0. If you roughly placed the hour hand at 3, where will you place the minute hand given that the angle is 0? Minute hand कहाँ पर आएगा? It will also be over 3. Right? That means the rough time will be 3:15 p.m. This is your rough time, right? The next thing you only have to do is, once you have found out that the rough time is 3:15 p.m., the only thing you have to do is multiply the minute hand by 12 by 11. There is a factor that you multiply it by, right? This is what the time that you get. You get a time of 3 whole 180 by 11. Now 180 by 11, if you solve it, it's going to be how much? It's going to be 16 point something. That means this is a time between 3:16 and 3:17. So this statement is correct, right? 180 by 11 को solve करो ना, right? This will be 16 point something. It is not exactly 17. 11 multiplied by 17 is how much? 187, right? So it's between 16 and 17. Right? So the time is between 3:16 and 3:17 where the hour and the minute. Now this is what you do. Ordinarily, you know that you're finding a rough time here. Rough time Q, because at 3:15 the hour hand will not be over 3. Right? What we are assuming is it will be over 3. You have to make an adjustment for it. In 15 minutes, the hour hand has also moved. Right? You have to make an adjustment, which is why you multiply by a factor of 12 by 11. Right? Now this one is correct. First one. The second one is between 4:58 and 4:59 p.m. both the minute hand and the second hand coincide. He is not asking about the hour hand and the minute hand. This is about minute hand and the second hand. And the minute hand and second hand coincide every minute. हर minute में minute hand and second hand तो coincide करेगा ही एक बारी. Right? The answer is both 1 and 2. right? The first was hour hand and the minute hand. The second is minute hand and the second hand, right? If you look at your clock, every minute, the minute hand and the second hand coincide once, right? So it has to coincide, right? That means this is both 1 and 2. Get it? Most commonly you get a question on these, right? Minute hand and hour hand ke beech mein, they give you a time range, they give you an angle, they want you to find the exact time at which the angle will be whatever has been granted. Get it? What is the value of x in the sequence? Right? You have to go, this is an increasing series, 2, 12, 36, 80, 150, x. Right? How do you go from 2 to 12? 2 से 12 कैसे जाया जाए? Right? You can do a, okay, if you write it as 8 plus 4, 8 is how much? 2 ka cube plus 2 ka square. Right? How do you go from 12 to 36? Right? 36 ko if you have to write it down, 36 can you write down as 27 plus 9? Can you write it down as 3 ka cube plus 3 ka square? So 2 could be 1 ka cube plus 1 ka square. This is 2 ka cube plus 2 ka square. This should be 3 ka cube plus 3 ka square. Then this has to be 4 ka cube plus 4 ka square. 4 ka cube is 64. 4 ka square is 16. So 64 plus 16 is 80. Right? 150 should be 5 ka cube, which is 125, plus 5 ka square, which is 25. That means then this case has to be 6 ka cube plus 6 ka square. 216 plus 36. That is going to be 200 and plus 36. No, it's going to be 252. Right? 216 plus 36 is going to be 252. Answer will be this. Right? Now this is a question that may not strike you in the exam hall. Right? It is quite possible that it does not really strike you. 10 or 15 seconds, if you can't solve it, just move ahead. Right? इससे ज़्यादा आपको ज़्यादा ध्यान देना नहीं चाहिए. That is it. Now look at all of these questions. Which of these questions was easy? This is something that could be tricky. You can get it, you may not get it. Right? If you don't get it, don't sweat over it. 1. Now this is a question where this part was probably tricky for some people, right? Some people also don't know how to solve this, but ये कुछ लोगों के लिए tricky हो सकता है. वो क्यों होगा? Because most of the times you have solved questions for angles between hour and the minute hand, right? Sometimes in the thick of things, because this is the 68th question, so you can imagine the 68th question will be towards the end of the exam, right? बहुत pressure होता है. You may even ignore this minute hand and second hand. You may think it's hour and the minute hand, right? You may solve for that, but a silly mistake can happen in this question. When you look at this one, this is fairly easy, right? बहुत ही ज़्यादा आसान. When you look at this question, right? This is one question which is, this is also pretty easy, right? Very simple arrangement. When you look at this question, it could be challenging for some people because some people do not get a hang of clocks generally also, right? When you look at this, this is the most basic arithmetic question that you will ever get. Look at this one. This is one question that you straight up should quit. जहाँ आप इसको solve करने लग जाओगे, you will see that there are too many permutations possible, right? Ordinarily, if you have solved enough permutations, you will know that the answer will be D. D ही होगा because there are too many possibilities here. So definitely correct तो होने ही नहीं वाला कोई भी एक चीज, right? Now you have these two. Both of these are extremely simple questions on syllogism. Now you had the next question, which was this one. This is extremely simple. ये देख के पता चल जाता है. Next question is this one. Once again, a very, very easy question on blood relations. Find out this one. This is supremely easy. A lot of people still got it wrong. This one. This could be tricky for some people because they don't know how to work with permutations. Right. This one, I would assume some of them could be tricky. Right? This is very, very simple. This is supremely simple. Very, very simple. Again, supremely simple. And this could be tricky for some people who don't know how to get a hang of calendars, but if you have done calendars, you would solve this question very easy, right? And then this question is again supremely easy. This question could be tricky for some people. It's not very, right? At best, 2 to 3 questions that you can think are challenging, right? Apart from this, there are somewhere around 17-18 questions in this paper also. 2 से 3 सवाल अगर आप चलो मान भी लेते हैं कि आपसे नहीं हो पाते, right? 15 questions are pretty doable, right? And then you have to see the sequence. One is question number 4, another will be 16, then will be 24, then you will have a bunch of logical reasoning questions. This is what you have to work with. Every year you'll get somewhere around 15 to 20 odd questions, and you will see as we move gradually, the next thing we have to do is 2021, then we'll do 2020 also, right? I will do it faster the next class, right? At least in the first class, you get a hang of this, right? When you do it, you understand that every year, right, from logical reasoning alone, except for 2 to 3 questions, which could be challenging, right? The remaining 12 to 13 questions are supremely easy. That means 30 marks are straight up in your pocket, right? 30, where you have to breach 67, only coming in from logical reasoning, right? That does not take you a lot of time. You can still solve it. So first is identify these questions, right? And solve all LR first. Then move to quantitative aptitude. Do you not think in 1 hour you can do this? You can, right? The only thing is you don't straight up go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, wo mat karo. Identify LR ka section first, identify quant ka section first, identify your RC ka section first. This is exactly what happens in CAT. Although CAT mein you don't get a composite paper, you get different sections. Right? Since you get different sections, right, the art there is of picking questions. Right? Which questions should you be solving and which one should you be leaving? Right? This is exactly what you have to do here also. You have to breach a 67 ka cutoff. You already know that you have to get 28 right. Now these questions should be wrong, right? So first try to score 67. How do you try to score 67? From LR itself, you are going to get easy meet. You are going to get is 35 odd marks, easy marks, 35, right? Pick LR first, then go for quantitative aptitude. Probably in 1 hour, if you are good, if you are prepared thoroughly, right, you will be able to clear the cutoff here itself. Then you move to RCs, right? We'll take the remaining half tomorrow. Right? I'll try to cover at least 3 papers tomorrow. I'll do it a little faster. And I can also do it faster because next sections will be easier. Right? It's only slightly difficult in 2023. Slightly, if you may want to call it that. Alright? Chalo. See you tomorrow.